Imagine why, Bootlebug?
My. You're yawning away, your eyes are glazed, and Caroline has a big show lined up for you. Did you see how organised Caroline is out in that desk? It's big stuff today. You better be on your guard. Do you want a coffee?
Not your coffee.
What's wrong with my coffee?
Well, you don't know how I like it. Anyway, I'm not tired. I had a good night's sleep. I sometimes think the more I sleep, the longer it takes me to wake up. I've been up for 3 hours.
Huh?
I've been up for 2.5 hours.
What time is it? 9 o'clock.
9.
What time you get up at 6:30?
Yeah.
That's early enough for you, isn't it?
I had to do 5k this morning.
Don't believe you. We know now when you're telling Porky's. I don't believe a word you say now. I believed you yesterday. He says I did 4.75k. It's God, good. You did it all by yourself. I believed you.
By myself. I was running away in my sleep.
Yeah, all right then.
7 hours, 20 minutes sleep. I got, and I feel worse for it now.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Sure, anyway.
You'll be all right. You'll be grand. We'll get the coffee for you.
Lee,
good luck.
See you soon.
Yeah,
have a good day.
Bye.
All right, that's Lee Gooch, and it is 9 o'clock. So let's get a news update before we get the show underway, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Plans for teachers to mark their own students' senior cycle assessments as part of new reforms have been suspended. A study into the impact of AI on the education system is to be carried out by the State Examinations Commission first, which means assessments will be marked externally. 2 new subjects will be added to the curriculum from 2025: drama, theatre and film studies, as well as climate action and sustainable development. Education Minister Norma Foley says it's her hope that teachers will be able to mark their own students, but adds this study has to be completed first.
I think it's quite remarkable that, when we would have sat discussing this a year ago, ChatGPT, AI was never part of our world, really. It is now. For us not to embrace it and harness it and be aware and trained in its challenges, if you like, would be short-sighted in the world of education.
A warning has been issued after life-saving water safety equipment was damaged in Strabane. Over the weekend, throw lines were vandalised and thrown into the water at Strabane Canal. The Derry and Strabane Policing and Community Safety Partnership is reminding people of the potentially fatal consequences of misusing life-saving equipment at waterways across the district. Chair of Derry and Strabane PCSP, Councillor Sandra Duffy, says causing damage to such an important piece of equipment is unacceptable and shows a total disregard for the safety of the local community. Donegal County Council is to examine the potential use of solar-powered compacting bins in Letterkenny as part of a review of bin provision in the area. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh told a municipal district meeting that there are too many complaints about the lack of bins in the town. He said solar compacting bins are all over Dublin, but he noticed them last week in Carrick-on-Shannon. They hold 10 times more than ordinary bins and send electronic messages to the council when they are full. Calling for a review of the location of bins, Councillor Kavanagh says it's time to look seriously at the compacting option.
They also have small openings that you can only really put a can or a bottle into, so it stops the problem of people throwing domestic rubbish into bins, which is then scattered by dogs and cats and so on, and that's a problem in Letterkenny. There's also a problem of bins being overturned. This is something that's coming to us all the time as members. I've been around a good part of the country over the summer, and in all the big towns, it's these big belly solar bins that they have in use.
Weather now today will bring a mix of sunny spells and widespread showers, some heavy with a chance of isolated thunder. Highest temperatures today of 12 to 15 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning.
Whether it's a 5 or 10k, half or full marathon, everyone's running journey is different. Find your pace with the Summer of Running series with Irish Life Dublin Marathon. Search Irish Life Summer of Running series to sign up. A better life with Irish Life.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 3.5 minutes past 9, Wednesday the 20th of September. How are you all keeping? You well? Bit of a change in the weather, isn't there? Chilly last night. Liked it though. I slept better, as I was saying to Lee there. I think I sleep better when it's not quite as warm. But anyway, right, we've a busy show lined lined up for you. We've got live music for you as well. Very exciting in the second hour of that, and so much more besides. We want you involved in the conversations, starting the conversations. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts. You can send your voice notes to WhatsApp as well on that number, 086 60 25,000. Feel free to do so. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000, and we're a show for the Northwest as well. So if you're listening in Derry and Tyrone, you know how you dial in, don't you? 0035386 60 25,000. That's your WhatsApps and texts. And then the phone number, it's the same process. Drop the O. And at 00353. Email comments at Highland Radio from anywhere where you're listening. And don't forget, you can watch the show live on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, on your big smart TV, your Fire Stick, your mobile devices. And we're on Facebook as well, Highland Hub and Highland Radio News and Sport. Let's have a look at the newspapers. A better life for Finn Valley men's, the front of the Finn Valley Voice. What would help Finn Valley men over 50 to live a better life? A game of two halves. An evening for men over 50 aims to investigate that question, organised by Paddy Hannigan with support from Sally Mooney and Claire O'Kane, both from the Finn Valley Family Resource Centre, and Bill Vaughan, Mental Health Ireland. The evening takes place on Friday the 6th of October at the Finn Valley Centre, Stranola. More on that and what it's all about in that paper today. The Donegal Post asks, where has the €100,000 funding for Donegal Town footpath out to Craft Village gone? Anyone familiar with that area would know, out past the school, out towards Abbott. The Craft Village is in there and to your left. A lot of people walk on that, but it's not terribly safe. Funding said to be worth €100,000, which was allocated for the completion of a walkway from Donegal Town out towards the local Craft Village, came up for robust discussion at the September meeting of the Donegal Municipal District, when it was learned that there was uncertainty over where the money is now after the plan did not come to fruition. The funding of €100,000 from the Department of Rural and Community Development was to be in addition to the council's own funding of €25,000. And a big residential area there now out past the Craft Village, which would probably use it more so. And that money, where is it, is the question. On to the Inish Times now, and Gardaí and Buncrana are appealing for information after two assaults in the town at the weekend. Two men received treatment at Letterkenny University Hospital following two separate incidents in the town on Sunday. The first assault took place at West End at around 2:35 a.m. on Sunday, when Gardaí believe a man was assaulted by another male. The injured man was taken to hospital. The second assault took place in the Park Lane area of the town shortly after 7:40 p.m, so still somewhat bright. This on Sunday, when Gardaí believe a man was assaulted by a group of youths. He also ended up in hospital, and both of those instances were the subjects of appeals on Highland Radio's Community Garda information yesterday, if you want to listen back. Letterkenny Live out this morning. Cara House Family Resource Centre entered a new era on Friday with the official opening of the new state-of-the-art complex at Pierce Road, Letterkenny. It was initially set up to establish, promote and operate a socially inclusive family resource centre to act as a focus and catalyst for community development in Letterkenny and surrounding areas. It also aims to provide support and education services for the local community. Let's turn our attentions to the Nationals now, and the Irish Independent. The government's coming out in support of cash. All public bodies are to be told they will have to continue to accept cash when consumers are paying for services. It comes after the operator of the NCT car testing service was forced into an embarrassing U-turn when it said it would stop accepting cash for bookings, tests, and only take the economic payment, bank drafts or postal orders. The announcement to go cashless by NCT operator Applus last month prompted a massive backlash. Now Finance Minister Michael McGrath has moved to prevent public bodies from blocking the use of cash to pay for goods and services. And may I say, and I'm not sure there's provision for this, would it not be good too for organisations which are heavily funded by government, i.e. the GAA, for instance? I think they get somewhere in the region of 20 to 30 million euro in direct funding from government. Should a provision of that or a proviso of that funding not be that they should also accept cash? If the government's truly committed to cash, I don't think that would be a terribly bad move, would it? Use that pressure, say, look, we don't mind supporting you, really important, life and soul of the of our country, but if you want your 20 odd 30 odd million euro per annum, you're going to also have to start restart accepting cash. It would be nice. But anyway, it's understood Mr. McGrath has written to ministerial colleagues asking them to ensure public bodies under their remit continue to accept cash. Now, I do know the GA is not a public body, but as I say, you could exercise some influence or pressure there perhaps. Okay, on to the Irish Times this morning. More on this story of the experience of children having gone through operations in the hospital in Dublin. The independent review of spinal surgeries that had been carried out by a consultant in Temple Street Hospital is to be widened to cover all paediatric orthopaedics in the state. The review, ordered into safety concerns arising from the consultant's work, will also examine the way the spinal surgery service has been run and the long delays experienced by children needing orthopaedic operations. Minister for Health Stephen Donnelly has indicated long waiting lists to treat scoliosis and other orthopaedic conditions in children have been a source of embarrassment to successive governments and have remained high despite substantial investment. There are currently 54 children waiting for spinal surgery at Temple Street, but a total of 261 children on lists across 3 Children's Health Ireland sites. Now, you can imagine if the children can be insulated from this story, all well and good, but certainly their parents, caregivers who are on that waiting list, already a very long waiting list, not knowing when their child's going to get this much needed surgery, but then reading of poor outcomes for quite a number of children who did undergo this surgery. Some became really quite ill. One passed away. I'm not quite sure if it's a direct result of the surgery. That investigation is ongoing, but again, already a very difficult, stressful situation, and now concern over the remedy, which must be a nightmarish situation. If any of you out there got that letter or are affected by that and you want to share your story with us, please get in touch. 07491 25,000. President Michael D. Higgins has warned that there is no doubt whatsoever that people will have to change their diet to help deal with climate change. This is the Irish Daily Mail. Speaking at the opening of the Ploughing Championship yesterday, President Higgins also said consumers need to recognise that farmers need a fair price for their produce and that we must put an end to the destructive practice of below-cost retail. With consumers continuing to face high prices, he said that some people have become accustomed to a cheap food policy where you have artificially reduced prices. Well, no disrespect to the president, but we are struggling here. We are at the pin of our collar, and food has gone through the roof. Getting rid of any little savings that we might make, I know maybe it's the farming community that's absorbing them, but the president seeking for an end to below-cost selling of food or artificially reduced prices doesn't sit very well with me. Maybe down the line when there's a bit more money about for the average person, but at the moment we need to be making all the savings that we can. And what he's saying effectively is as well, and he chose the Ploughing Championship to say we probably need to be eating less meat. He didn't say it directly, but I presume that's what he's saying. While the president did not outright tell the public to eat less meat, he said, I have said that everyone's going to have to change in the same way people will be adjusting their own diets. I think you're going to see big changes in diet. I'm not going to say anything disrespectful, but I suppose we perhaps all have to play our part then. On to the Irish Daily Star. Gaelic football legend Joe Brolly has revealed he'll boycott Derry senior games as he branded Mickey Hart's appointment as a disgrace. Former All-Ireland winner Brolly also said it was the last straw for him. The ex-Sunday Game pundit's comments come after it emerged on Monday night that Hart was quitting as Louth boss. The Wee County announced that Hart was leaving to take over the back-to-back Ulster champions Derry, and he did so formally last night. Brolly initially took to social media and wrote, "What in the name of F?" and he followed that up by adding, "This is the worst thing to happen to Derry since the plantation." However, Brolly went on to expand on his view on BBC Radio Ulster's Talkback. He said, "Derry GEA has been selling its soul for some time now, but to sell your soul for a Tyrone man, and I think there's a lot of anger." Brolly went on to add, "I'll not be going to any Derry senior games." Are you a Derry fan? Let us know if you are of a similar mind or not, more importantly. If you're dialing us from Derry, 353 866 25,000 to WhatsApp, or you send your voice messages to that number as well. Or maybe you think it's great. We want to hear all views. Let us know. Or if you're a Donegal, Tyrone fan, or wherever you are from, and wherever you're listening, let us know what you think of that appointment. Gunbelievable's the headline in the Irish Daily Mirror. There'll soon be no armed Garda cover across most of Ireland for 4 hours every morning, it's feared. The Irish Mirror, as well as all the other papers, have learned of serious concerns among rank and file Gardaí that there'll be no armed support from 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. nearly everywhere except Dublin under the return of the controversial old roster system in November. One source said the issue will be a massive challenge, especially in border areas where incidents routinely happen in the early hours of the morning. They said it leaves a huge hole. And the bottom line is we've had standoff situation, hostage situations, or however they might be described in the past, whereby you would have really needed a rapid response from armed support. You would hope that this doesn't end up costing lives. And this is part of a wider review, which isn't covered in the papers today, of Drew Harris's rota system, which has effectively, as much as I could see, been deemed not fit for purpose. But he says it's the only alternative to the COVID one, and that's why they have to employ it. It's the only agreed roster that's in place there. Finally, the Irish Sun. Shows and podcasts featuring Russell Brand have been taken down from the BBC and Channel 4 sites following claims of sexual assault. YouTube also blocked the 48-year-old from making €1 million a year in video advertising revenue, and he was dumped by his publicist and movie agents. He also resigned. He's got multiple companies. He shut one company down and resigned from 2 or 3 others in advance of these allegations being made. Old episodes of Big Brother's Big Mouth, The Great Stand-Up, The Cancer Bake Off and QI have been pulled years after they were first uploaded, with the BBC saying they were deemed to fall below public expectations. The broadcaster was also understood to have ensured Brand has been jettisoned from any comic relief charity fundraising. I like goals. Still waiting for a comment from Mr. Brand to reject, as I presume he will, those allegations, because that was his position before they were made. We'll be back with our first guest really shortly.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the 2022 C-Store National Off-Licence of the Year.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
It's the great autumn of savings at Super Value, with over 1,000 price cuts on all the big brands you love, like Domestos Bleach 750ml was $2.20, now $1.75. Johnson's Cotton Buds 100 piece was $1.27, now 95 cents. And money off vouchers every week on the app too. So pop in for great savings in store or online this autumn at Super Value.
Have you heard about the McElhinney's M Card? Now available exclusively in store. Sign up today to start earning and redeem once you hit 500 points. Register in store at our M Card station on the first floor or at any till point. The M Card, the new way to save at McElhinney's. It's time to transform your smile with the help of Blue Poppy Dental, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Their expert team offer orthodontics, teeth whitening, implants and composite bonding all in-house. Start your journey by calling 074 974 0404 or easily book your appointment online at a time that suits you through their user-friendly patient portal, available anytime, anywhere at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, Letterkenny and Donegal Town. Medical card patients welcome.
Have you heard the news? Carrickdon is coming to Donegal. The new store will be in the heart of Buncrana, featuring irresistible fashion, jewellery, accessories, gifts, homewares and much more. Recruitment is now underway for a range of positions from store manager to part-time sales assistants. If you have the passion for retail and the drive for working in an energetic setting, we want to hear from you. See our careers listing at carrickdon.com now.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okie doke, the time now is 18 minutes past 9. Now, reading that the future of flights from City of Derry Airport to Liverpool has been questioned this week as the airline Loganair states they are serving the route until the new year. Loganair stepped in to take over flights to Liverpool's John Lennon Airport in May 2021 after Ryanair decided to take a step back from the route. The airline said at the time they wished to step in to connect these two important destinations to safeguard this connection section. Now flights are unable to be booked online for the Derry to Liverpool route after January 5th. Sean joins us on the programme now. Sean, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for taking the call. This doesn't look good for the future of these flights. Are you surprised?
Not surprised at all. I mean, I've lived in Strabane for the last 10 years, so for the first 4 or 5 years of me living here, I regularly got flights from City of Derry to Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
Done it all the time. The flights were really cheap, really accessible, lots of flexibility with them. But since Loganair's come in, I have used Loganair a couple of times, but the prices are just extortionate. So it's much cheaper to go and travel to Belfast, pay your car parking space, and use EasyJet. And it's not cheaper by half. It's sometimes cheaper by quarter or even more than that.
Yeah. All right.
So not shocked at all.
And can you give us some idea of prices?
Yeah, well, this is just roughly, and obviously prices can fluctuate at weekends and stuff, but you can get a return flight from Belfast in around the £70-80 mark. That's kind of, if you book a couple of weeks or months in advance. As where Loganair, you're talking maybe £200, maybe even more. That plus there might only be maybe a flight on the Friday afternoon and a flight coming back on the Monday afternoon. It's not very. And then obviously a big thing would be the football. So if Liverpool are playing, obviously there's a big contingency from Derry and the surrounding areas. I suppose the prices go up even more. And again, they wouldn't change flights because of the kick-off times. So that being said, I'm not shocked at all. And as I say, it's a hell of a lot cheaper. It does add about an hour and a half on your trip, of course it does. And I would much prefer to travel from Derry. But, cost of living crisis, what are you meant to do? You can't blame anyone for taking the cheaper option, can you, whenever we're in a cost of living crisis?
And I'm sure they're quite, they're bound to be aware of the price difference between Derry and Belfast. It's obviously they've set a price and they've said, right, if people, this is how we can break even or make money. If people use it, they use it. If they don't, we'll discontinue it. And you wonder if the latter has happened here.
Yeah, well, obviously, but I mean, let's put it like this. So I got married there about 4 or 5 months ago. So I had a lot of family travelling from Liverpool to Strabane, and I would say 95% of people travelling over all used EasyJet from Belfast again because of the prices. And a couple of my aunties actually took the Loganair option. Some were health conditions, so they didn't want to travel that much, and they said that the flight was practically empty when they were on the flight. So that speaks volumes, doesn't it? The fact that, I mean, I'm not an expert in how aviation works and prices and stuff, but any normal consumer is going to go for the cheaper option. Unless, if it was £5 or £10 here or there, you might go, do you know what, for the sake of a couple of hours, I'll save it. And I'll just get the more expensive option. But no, as I say, you're talking maybe £100, maybe £150. So it's a no-brainer, really. And I think everyone would think along those lines,
Yeah, I think what you do, what I've tended to done in the past, is you put a sort of price and convenience, don't you? You go, right, well, and there's a buffer, like as you say, 10, 20. But when you start getting to 100, 150, you vote with your feet. Then you just go to the cheaper option, don't you, and just absorb the extra time.
Well, you're not just talking. I'm talking, right. So I can put the diesel in my car to go to Belfast. I can book me air car parking and get me flight to Liverpool, and it's still working out maybe a quarter of the price.
Yeah.
So the car parking will be about £30, £40 sometimes for a couple of days. Then your diesel maybe £25, and then the flights maybe, if you get lucky, I'm saying about £80, but if you get it well in advance, you can get a flight return to Liverpool for maybe 45, 50 quid.
Yeah.
And back in the day, Ryanair from City Days to Liverpool, you used to get return flights for 20 quid. I used to book flights thinking I might not be able to make it and not really care because it was only a 20 quid hit.
I know exactly.
Now we're all watching every penny, aren't we?
Yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know a few people that do that. They book them in advance, and because they're so cheap with Ryanair, if their plans change, they don't cry about it. It's a shame, really, because regional airports, it's significant even losing one route. Because it's a hit for the airport as well, I'm sure.
Well, I said it is a perfect example. So that this weekend I'm actually going into Manchester for a concert. And I priced Loganair, so I did. And it was a little bit cheaper than Liverpool, but it still worked out far better financially to go to Belfast. Yeah. And that's the trip to Manchester. So could that be, on the horizon, that could, lose that route? And I think it's very simple. It comes down to money, and people aren't stupid. You can go online and price about now, everything from, your phone contracts to your broadband. Everyone prices about now, that's what the internet's all about. And at the end of the day, there'll be the odd person that will just want the convenience, but most people that have got a brain in the head will go with the cheaper option. And as I say, it's only, you can fly up from Strabane, Derry, those areas up to Belfast in about an hour and 15 minutes now. And EasyJet are doing 4 or 5 flights from the international a day, and they're doing, I think there's 2 or 3 from the city airport in Belfast as well. So, time slots is a big thing as well. Take money out of it. They're only putting maybe a couple of flights on at certain times, and it may not suit you.
Yeah.
This day and age now. So there's a lot to consider. Right. And obviously with the football, when the football's on, they put the price up even more as well. Now, I'm aware all airlines do this, but that's a big thing too.
All right, who are you going to see in Manchester?
I go to see Shania Twain with the wife, her Christmas present. So late, but this is the thing.
That was a lovely present for her to get you.
Yeah, no, I got her.
Right.
But here's a perfect example. We're getting a flight on Sunday evening, really, really late. I think it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But it just suited us to get that late flight on the Sunday night and be there just to make sure that we're there for the concert on Monday. I'll be honest, I can't remember the flights for Loganair, but I can sure tell you they wouldn't have been that much convenience. It probably would have been in the middle of the Sunday afternoon, and you would probably have to come back on the Wednesday or something, and this day and age, it's all about convenience and price. And at the end of the day, I would love to, kind of shop local, as they say, use the city there airport. And I have used it on many occasions, so let's not put out there that I'm against it. But and it's so handy getting through getting through security and customs and the small airports. You kind of know you're not going to be delayed too much, etc., etc. But money talks, doesn't it?
Exactly. And convenience and price, it has to be both of them in this day and age. It can't just be convenience. All right, safe travels. Thanks, Sean, for letting us for taking the call. We do appreciate it. That's Sean there. And the unfortunate news that those flights are to cease, seemingly, at least as operated by Loganair. There's no flights available to book after January 5th, 2024. A caller says, ESB profits 670 million. Let me say that again. ESB profits this year, 676 million. Yet half, if not 3/4 of the population cannot pay their electricity bill. There's something badly wrong in this country, and the explanation will go along the lines of, I'll take a break, Caroline, I'll take a break, it's okay. The explanation will be that, Electric Ireland, or it is Electric Ireland, isn't it? Well, it's a separate company. We can't take profits out of the ESB to supplement that because that's anti-competitive. But the Electric Ireland won't tell us how much it is. I want to make sure I've got the right company. I believe I do. But they won't tell us exactly how much they're buying electricity for in the wholesale markets because of competition. They won't tell us how much when they might be able to reduce prices because of competition. So they've got the shield of because of competition and company law and that type of stuff. But the ESB profits of 676 million. Now, they say they will invest much of that back in to the network. But at this time, we need that, don't we? We need that break on our electricity bills. Okay, we'll have our next guest for you after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €6 million. Play responsibly in store, in app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
In the next 15 seconds, you're going to find out where is the best place in the Northwest to buy a bed or mattress. It's Restex Beds and Furniture Mountaintop, Letterkenny, where comfort meets style.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Get ready for a great night of live music with Rhythm and Sticks in the Abbey Ballroom at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town, this Saturday, 23rd September. Doors open at 9. Admission €10. Rhythm and Sticks, live at the Abbey Hotel this Saturday.
An miantuig brach Herishín chun de Gro a Hav. Zita ved Degel ikiocht 1 euro all fi skeim takiocht de Herishín de Usadori Gro. Skeim nua de chuid an realtish. Tan skeim shoras skulchas sho gudjan 3 hen law derf over. Tá chile olish enterprise.gov.ie. Chanskanov de chuid realtis na Herin.
How are you doing, Liam? Usual, is it? Seasal? At Visa, we're proud to support small businesses in every community, like Murphy's of Dingle, makers of quality ice cream supplied by Kerry Dairy Farms. When you shop with an independent business, it multiplies to support your community. Where you shop matters. Visa.
Now you're welcome back, and we welcome into studio Dr. Jen Doherty, Senior Medical Officer in Donegal. Good morning to you, Jen. Thanks so much for your time.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for having me in.
How are you keeping?
Good.
Good stuff. All right. Now, the focus of our conversation this morning is the Laura Brennan HPV catch-up vaccination programme. Shall we remind listeners again? We didn't talk about this we talked about this not too long ago, but you never know. Yeah. People switch in and switch out at different times. So why is it called the Laura Brennan HPV catch-up vaccination programme?
Well, Laura Brennan was a young woman from Ennis in County Clare. And back in 2017, at the age of 25, she was diagnosed with terminal cervical cancer. She made a decision at that time that she was going to use her voice and campaign for the HPV vaccine. She had said at the time that she's the reality of an unvaccinated person. So she was of the age where the HPV vaccine wasn't available at the time when she was in school. So she decided that she was going to make parents aware of young women at the time that the vaccine was available, and decided to educate and become an advocate for the HPV vaccine. So she did a huge amount of work talking in schools and in the media, and she'd approached the HSE and the Department of Health herself to become that sort of spokesperson. Then in 2019, sadly, Laura died. And at that time, then her parents had decided that they were going to carry on her legacy. Mm-hmm. They just basically kept talking about the vaccine, wanted to keep it in the public arena, and what we saw was that rates of the vaccination did increase thanks to Laura and thanks to her parents. So Laura's name was added, I suppose, in recognition of her work to the catch-up campaign that we have now. So the catch-up campaign is an opportunity for young people who didn't receive the HPV vaccine to now get it, and to get it free of charge.
And vaccine uptake, it can go in peaks and troughs, can't
Absolutely.
it? I mean, like there was some organised campaign at some point, not necessarily about this vaccine, to say don't take the vaccine. Yeah. And I can't even remember who was behind it or what it was, but it died a death.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, in certain cases, you can still feel the hangover from that. You know, and I would say there's people that maybe didn't access this, and they probably can't remember why they didn't.
Absolutely.
But at that time, they were being discouraged.
So absolutely, and that was one of the reasons that Laura had decided to talk about the vaccine, that rates had declined, and it was really just misinformation that was accessible at the time. So she was, as I say, very successful in getting the rates up. And we want to continue basically in keeping the rates for the HPV vaccine up again. So,
and before we talk about who can access and how they can access it, I mean, all of us would love to see huge medical advances, and we do see it to some extent in the treatment or the prevention of cancer, in particular. This is a cancer which we do have a really effective means to prevent it, to the point whereby there's even talk of it, with the right uptake, it being eradicated.
Eradication, absolutely. So yes, as you say, this is an opportunity long term to see the rates of cervical cancer in particular really fall, and that is what we have seen in countries that introduced the vaccine before Ireland. So especially in Australia and in Sweden as well, we're seeing that the rates of cervical cancer are falling, and rates of other problems with the cervix that can lead to cervical cancer are falling as well. So it's a huge benefit.
And people are perfectly entitled to have their views on vaccinations and injections, but in this case, separate to what people might feel in other areas, this has been used for a long time. It's been incredibly heavily studied. There's an awful lot of long-term data on this vaccine and its efficacy and its safety.
Absolutely. It's been studied since 2006. It first came on the market in 2006. There's studies people involved in studies of up to 1.6 million people who have received the vaccine. So there's about 17 years of study behind this vaccine, and over 80 million doses of it have been given worldwide. So we know that this is a safe vaccine. We know that it's an effective vaccine. So the opportunity for people to have it is a really good one.
And just again, before we start getting into who, where and how do people know their vaccination status or the vaccination status of their children? I found it a little bit difficult to keep track of myself, right?
Yeah.
And I know there's books and all that kind of stuff, but I am a fella, and one of the conditions of that for many of us is that you can't remember where you leave anything.
Yes.
So how do you find out what your status is?
So if you don't have the written documentation, you can ring the immunisations office and we can check on our systems if you've received the vaccine or if your child has received the vaccine. So that's not a problem.
All right. Now, how is this vaccine delivered ordinarily? It's in how many doses and at what age?
Ordinarily, this vaccine is given to first years in school. And actually, we're starting our first year programme in the next 2 weeks. So I would say to anyone who has a child in first year and they haven't received the little information pack to have a look in the school bags and see that it's there. So we give it in 1 dose now to kids in first year. Originally it was given in 3 doses and then in 2 doses, but the studies have shown now that the protection from 1 dose is sufficient to prevent the HPV virus.
Okay, right. So now if people have missed that, there's a number of reasons they could have.
Yeah.
And it's not always, it could have been holidays, it could have been anything.
It could
right?
have been anything.
So if anyone's listening now and they say, right, okay, and this is for girls and boys, they say, right, we want to catch up on this. You know, who's it open to now who may have missed it in first year, or for what period of time and what age categories and so on?
Sure. So it's open to women who are 24 and younger. And it's open to males who are 21 and younger. And they can have a look on the website, which is www.hpv.ie, and book an appointment online for that. So it's open to anyone who missed their HPV vaccine for any reason. It's also open to people who have become resident in Ireland who were not originally resident, who maybe didn't receive the HPV vaccine in their home country. And it's also open to refugees and people who are seeking protection. So it's open to anyone who's within that age group can receive the vaccine for free.
And what is it doing in the body and what's it preventing that then can often lead on to, or not often, I beg your pardon, that may lead on to cancer or there are other things it also prevents?
Yeah, sure. So it protects against, the vaccine that we use now protects against 9 different types of HPV. And these are the 9 types that commonly can cause cervical cancer. So it causes, the 9 types cause more than 9 out of 10 cases of cervical cancer. So it protects against that. It also protects against, as you say, other types of cancers, which is why we are giving it to males as well.
Oral cancer? Oral
cancers, throat cancers, cancers of the back passage, and male genital cancers and female genital cancers also. So it protects against more than just the cervical cancer, so there's added benefit there.
And is this effectively stopping something spreading between people?
So the studies show that over 90% of people in their lifetime will carry HPV. In most cases, the body's immune system will clear that. But what happens in the case when HPV can cause cancers is that the body doesn't clear that, and these are the more invasive, nasty types of a virus of HPV that can lead on to cancer. So the hope is when enough people are vaccinated that we do, as you say, eradicate or get rid of the HPV vaccine.
It can be done, but obviously
if enough people are vaccinated.
There's enough people that have to be vaccinated.
That's the long-term aim.
So all students unvaccinated, of course, 2nd to 6th. So say, for instance, by the way, someone got 1 or... Do you remember how we did it as a 3 vaccine programme? So someone got 1 or 2 but missed the 3rd, and now they're thinking, well, am I fully covered or what have you? What is this?
So anyone who has received 1 dose now is considered fully protected.
Even if it was part of a 3-dose
Even at the time it was part of a 3-dose, yeah.
Okay, that's just to make that clear. So the programme is expanded to include all unvaccinated students from 2nd to 6th year in second level education, all unvaccinated males who left school second level education and are 21 years old or younger on the date of offer of vaccination. And the programme also continues for all unvaccinated females who have left second level education and are 24 years old or younger on the date of vaccination. So I always get confused about this. It's as long as you're not 22 if you're a man,
Basically,
and as long as you're not 25.
Until the day before your 22nd birthday for a boy. Yeah, exactly.
And now it is free of charge through the HSE.
It's free, and it's an expensive vaccine to get privately. So we would encourage people, and it's only run until the end of the year. So it's only running this programme until the 31st of December. So we would encourage people to have a look on www.hpv.ie and book a slot for a vaccination.
Can you take the vaccine if you have diabetes?
You can, absolutely.
Okay. Is it true that anyone with an immune deficiency should not take this vaccine?
No, actually anyone with an immune deficiency should actually get 3 doses of the vaccine. So there are a small number of people who require 3 doses rather than 1 dose, and that will be based on a medical history. So we would ask about the medical history when people come for their first dose.
It's far better to do that at the point of contact, and it gets too convoluted, the messaging, then at that point.
Absolutely.
But if someone at the point of contact, once they engage, then it becomes clear.
And probably, hugely important for someone with an immune deficiency to get the vaccine.
Right, okay. And any side effects?
The side effects mainly are, as with most vaccines, a bit of a sore arm. Yeah, absolutely. We see a bit of a sore arm. Some people might get a bit of redness and swelling, but usually that goes away within a day or 2. All
right, so you book your appointment at hpv.ie, and where are the catch-up clinics?
So we are having our clinics in St Connor's Hospital and in the immunisation department, and we're actually having a clinic tomorrow, and there may be some spaces left for that, and we're having 2 a month for the next 3 months as well. So I can give you the dates for those if
go on, might as well. Yeah.
So we have the 21st of September, that's tomorrow. We have Friday the 13th and Friday the 27th of October, Friday the 10th and the 24th of November, and Monday the 4th and the 18th of December. And we hope to get a day in the ATU as well.
Any plans for any satellite clinics, West Donegal, Inishowen, Donegal Town?
Not at the minute. The clinics are held from 9:30 to 4:15 every day, so we would hope that would allow people to travel into Letterkenny. If people have issues and want to arrange a certain time because of public transport, then just get in touch with us.
All right, okay. Anything you want to add?
No, thanks very much for having me on.
No problem. Dr. Jan Doherty, Senior Medical Officer in Donegal, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Greg.
It's back. The Furniture Show NI returns to CFC Interiors, Campsie Derry this Saturday. Save with massive discounts from leading brands in furniture and interiors. From sofas, beds, flooring and design. CFC have it all reduced in their biggest sale. Don't miss the Furniture Show NI starting this Saturday exclusively at CFC Interiors, Campsie Derry.
There's only one thing as good as a TUI holiday, and that's looking forward to one. So get next summer sorted and secure your TUI holiday today. Choose beach, lakes and cruise breaks across a wide range of destinations, including Mexico direct from Dublin, plus all your favourites like holiday villages, Splash World resorts and our own TUI Blue hotels. Secure now with thousands of free child places and a low booking deposit of €25 per person. That's next summer's holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy. T's and C's apply.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Derry. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
The eagerly anticipated brand new production of the Broadway smash hit musical Sister Act is on its way to the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre in Dublin. Join Highland Radio as we make our way to this unforgettable show on Friday, 23rd of February 2024. Your trip includes luxury transfers, bed and breakfast at the 4-star City North Hotel in Dublin, and your ticket to the show. For more information, call Highland Radio today on 074 9125,000 or visit highlandradio.com.
House to Home Bridgend, Donegal. Our modest front door opens onto 2 floors of Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining and occasional furniture. Step into our showroom and see how we can transform your house into a home. House to Home furniture, flooring, slide robes and interiors, Bridgend, Donegal.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
All right, a range of comments coming in on various issues so far this morning. Greg, I'm a Tyrone fan. Mickey Hart has a great background and has many titles. What has Joe Brolly got? Only a foul mouth, they say. Tyrone man Brian McIver managed Derry without any fuss. Bloody Sunday was the worst thing to happen to Derry since plantation. This parochial reaction says more about Joe Brolly than the appointment, making it all about himself as usual. Good luck to Mickey Hart. I don't think he was actually making an actual historical comparison. I think he picked something that was a long time ago to sort of facilitate the use of a bit of humour. Whether it dropped or not, I don't know. Hi, Greg. The local library in Letterkenny no longer takes cash in their self-printing machines. They have a paper note taped over where the coins go saying card only, even though the machine still can accept coins. And also the driving licence renewal in Letterkenny don't take cash and will only accept card. And they've done this since the pandemic started. Will they now start accepting cash? Well, if they are under government departments, they will get a diktat saying that they should, according to today's newspaper coverage. That man's 100% right. It's an awful shame. This is Sean earlier. An airport right beside us, and it's cheaper to either take a car and pay car parking in Belfast or take the air coach to Belfast than go to our local airport in Eglinton. Wild pity, they say. Do you realise how little the farmer gets for his food? You've no idea how little we earn. How insulting of you. You clearly have no idea how the life of a farmer works. I do, actually. I've really got quite a good insight to it, and we cover farming issues all of the while. But you presume that if you presume that what I said is that if they continue to sell below cost food, that it's the farmer should pick up the tab. That's not what I think at all. These companies are making absolute massive profits. They're actually profit gouging due to inflation. They can still pay the farmer the correct amount of money and still discount the food so people can afford to eat. So I never said that it's farmers that should pick up the tab. The companies, the marts, the supermarket chains should pay people the money that they need to make a living. But they can chew into their own profits to keep the price of food down. This artificially low food prices. Let's not make it artificial. Let's keep it. Let them pare it off their profits. But anyway, thank you for your input. I probably should have been clearer. Greg, the game's up on mass immigration as far as the Irish people are concerned. We desperately need a halt to what is going on. The fact that a referendum would show exactly how people feel about immigration is precisely why it will never happen. People presume that a referendum would go one way or other, and it's all based off the back of a Virgin Media poll, which I can assure you is I mean, it's indicative, but it's not scientific. If we had a national debate on immigration, I wonder how would the poll land? Would it be a landslide like I believe that listener believes? There seems to be this sense that a national poll would follow that one TV station poll. I'm not really quite sure. I don't know. It's not a view I'm expressing on immigration, but I don't think really you really need to dig in deep to what people think right around the country and see what their concerns are and before you could sort of say one way or other if it would be a landslide. I'm not saying it wouldn't be, but I also I'm not saying it would. Greg, the Ploughing Championship have pushed the digital ticket no cash entry fee from the start, but due to increasing public pressure, they decided to accept cash payments but charge €5 extra for this alternative. They deserve to be boycotted. Yeah, and there's lots of reasons. The card's very much stacked in their favour as to why it suits them to only to promote people online, but it doesn't suit the punter. Antisocial behaviour in Killea going on most nights by a group of youths kicking people's doors late at night. People living on their own, also annoying children playing in the park. Are you in the Killea area? Is this something that you've noticed? Are you concerned about? Let us know. 08660 25,000. Hi, Greg. I just wanted to send an email regards my stay in Letterkenny University Hospital. I stayed overnight for elective surgery this week. Now, I know everything that's going on at the hospital regards bed, A&E, but I felt really had to give my experience. From the moment I arrived in the enhanced recovery unit, I was greeted by the nurses and office staff with smiles, kindness and professionalism. Then moved to theatre, recovery and onto surgical. Again, everyone I met, whether it was the nurses, surgeon, theatre staff, just someone passing you by, everyone was so lovely, kind, obliging, and I'm not exaggerating. So a big shout out to all the staff at Letterkenny University Hospital. You really are amazing, and more than happy to highlight the positives. Good morning. I would like to address the crisis at Letterkenny University Hospital. I have a 92-year-old woman who's been severely ill and was in casualty a number of days ago, and she had to wait 9 hours to be seen, and she was sitting on a chair in freezing conditions throughout the night. She's currently very weak and was recommended she attend hospital for a new issue that's arising. When I called the hospital, they could not give a time frame to see how long it would take to see her. My hat's off to all medical staff, and I appreciate all their help and support to all patients. However, these kinds of conditions for both patients and medical staff is unacceptable. That is why I'm writing to Highland Radio to make an awareness about this. I hope you can help me spread the word and help this crisis indeed. And unfortunately, that 92-year-old lady, in being seen in 9 hours, was actually within targets. Can you believe that? I highlighted that in this show before, and I'll dig them out again. I think it's 12 hours. The target, the expectation is that everybody over the age of 75 in ED would be seen within 12 hours. It used to be like 6 or 7. Now it's 12 hours. That lady, 92 years of age, had a 9-hour wait, and that would be recorded as being within target. Right. Jerry Early joins us now. Hi, Jerry.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You're asking, are there any TDs or MPs not at the Ploughing Festival? I don't know. They seem all to be there.
Yeah, that's very evident by the social media content that I'm looking at the last couple of days, Greg. It's amazing that they can find the time to do that, and the fisher, those representing the fishing sector would say that it's very, very hard to get them to attend fishing expos, etc., etc. So yeah. A little surprised and a little bit angry at it all, Greg, to be honest.
The farmers have the IFA, they have the ICMSA, they have multiple groups and competing groups as well. A Farmers Alliance just been launched and so on and so forth. Do you think that helps in pushing the argument for farmers? And I mean this with absolute respect, Jerry, but is it possible that the groups representing Irish fishermen lack teeth, or at least don't have the same teeth that the farming reps seem to have, the farming groups seem to have?
No, I wouldn't agree with that, Greg.
All right, Jerry, the line's dropped there. Sorry, Jerry, the line dropped there. Just pick up from where you said you wouldn't agree with that.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. Just based on there's very good representatives out there representing the fishing community, big and small. The argument could be that there's a two-tier system within that as well. But look at it's been ongoing, Greg, and this goes back to 1973 as far as I'm concerned. With the advent of the EU and the lack of, I suppose, foresight by those in government.
That line dropped again on us there. Sorry, Jerry. We'll try it one more time. You're saying the lack of foresight.
The lack of foresight, yeah, by those in government at the time, Greg. And again, this is not a pop at the farming sector. This is a pop at the politicians who represented us back then and still represent us. There's, as far as I'm concerned, there's a real lack of cohesion. It's amazing to think, Greg, that two of the biggest sectors in this country, farming and fishing, are represented by one minister who happens to be from Donegal at this stage. And with all due respect to the minister, it's heavily led or it's heavily geared towards farming as far as I'm concerned. Now, that's no slight in the farmers, but there's something far wrong with the system, Greg, as far as I'm concerned. It's rotten, like.
I mean, people speaking in the industry believe that, our sacrifice for EU membership was fishing. Our sacrifice for Brexit was fishing. That every time a chip needs to be bargained, it seems to be the fishers. Do you think there's any truth to that?
It's absolutely true, Greg, and it can be seen at the moment with the best of boats being sent through decommissioning, getting cut up. It's shameful, and it's very sad to see a boat getting cut up because of, I suppose, the lack of opportunities and the lack of it's quota, really. And it's amazing, Greg, to think that since the advent of the EU, there's been, and this is a conservative figure, there's been upwards of 120 billion being taken out of Irish waters, not just by EU members, but non-EU members. And again, I'm part, represent the islands. I'm part of the QMAC, the quota management. And it's like throwing a loaf here and a loaf there to fishermen who unfortunately, either no fault of their own, have been left in a situation where they're just feeding off the scraps on the table. And it's not good enough, Greg.
And in this day and age, too, there's no secrets anymore. It's not just those in the fishing industry; it's the country as a whole. You can see these floating factories going, going around our coast. God knows what they're sucking up out of the sea and how they're processing it and what the impact of that might be. But the problem is Jerry, I've been talking about this long enough now, and you have lived it all your life, that I think we've already skipped a generation, and I just wonder even if we sort of started to refocus on growing the industry again here, would we even have the interest or the personnel to do it? Maybe it's 2 generations that have been lost now. Do you know, people following others into the industry? It feels sometimes like a sunset industry now.
It absolutely is, Greg. And what's really sad about all this is that, with the Brexit adjustment reserve, that quite a lot of money was given to this country, upwards of $1 billion, to, I suppose, try and placide or compensate the fishermen. And a lot of that has gone towards decommissioning. So they're getting paid to decommission their boats and cut up their boats. A lot of the money then as well, Greg, went towards improvements of piers in particular. Now, you can have all the piers in the world, Greg, but if you don't have fishermen on the piers, what's the point? They're white elephants as far as I'm concerned. I've been saying this consistently now for a number of years. Unless there's a real appetite to support younger fishermen into the industry, and it's just not there, Greg. To start off fishing now, it's young people. Excuse me, young people have been priced out of the market because they have to have so much money to get on the tier, to get on the ground level. It's unfortunately, Greg, the horse is bolted now. We're living off the scrap.
That's it, Jerry. I kind of feel like we're speaking after the fact now. Do you know that sort of a way? I mean, in the past, having these conversations, you thought maybe there was a bit of hope or a direction we could go, but it almost feels now like a fait accompli.
Yeah, it pretty much is. And again, I suppose that doesn't help anything, and it's moan. But look, it's never too late either. We can't throw in the towel. We have to find a way to encourage more young people into the industry because, I don't mind saying this, Greg, I think there's been a concerted effort. It would almost look like a concerted effort to get fishermen off the water so that, our waters can be pillaged by other boats and other countries. It's I don't know if our listeners out there just realise the extent, Greg, of how much we've given away.
But farmers feel. I imagine farmers feel like they're on the same road. They're just a few kilometres behind the fishermen.
Well, maybe not. Maybe more than a few kilometres, but they're certainly headed the same way. And again, if anything can be learned, Greg, from the mistakes that was made with the fishermen, I would support the farmers 100%. That they seem to be, open to the same sanctions now that were imposed on the fishermen for many, many years. And look, that's not right either. This is not me having a pop at the farmers. This is me having a pop at the politicians who represent us at every level. Whether it be in Europe, local or national. And it's, Greg, I'm watching politicians walking around a field in Laois, wearing a pair of Wellingtons, pretending they're happy. Like, they're not. That's a joke as far as I'm concerned. They're not down there to support the farmers. They're down there to support themselves and vote catchers.
Right. Well, they probably would argue otherwise, but they're not here to do so. Jerry, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Jerry Early there. That's all we have time for before the news at 10. Maybe we might bring Liam in after 10, but I am up against the clock. Back after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Discover Logs of Cranford's new restaurant and coffee bar at the historic Old Forge. Enjoy family-friendly dining with tasty bar food on Fridays and Saturdays from 5 till 9 and Sundays 1 till 8. Perfect for family get-togethers and parties or those joining us for evening entertainment. Logs of Cranford, for all the family to enjoy. 9153232.
Imagine a dream wedding on a lake, all-day casual dining by a magical shore, fine dining or glorious afternoon tea surrounded by beautiful mountains, or a fabulous bar filled with music, laughter and song. Imagine no more. Harvey's Point, Loch Esk, Donegal, 07497222208 or harveyspoint.com. Close by, but a different world.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who are unable to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossum College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
There's a big weekend of country dancing at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. Friday night, Jerry Guthrie and his band with Dominic and Barry Kerwin. Saturday night, Jim Devine and his band and Patrick Feeney and his band. Admission €20. Sunday afternoon, there's Jerry Guthrie and his band. Admission €15. Under 12s are free.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. A teenage boy has died in a crash in County Monaghan. The single-car collision happened in Carrickadderry, Clontibret at around 1:30 this morning. The 17-year-old driver was pronounced dead at the scene. His body has been removed to Monaghan General Hospital, where a post-mortem examination will take place. The road remains closed, and Gardaí are appealing to anyone who witnessed the crash to contact them. New renters are on average paying 16% more than existing tenants. The new ESRI report highlights the growing gap in prices faced by existing and new tenancies. It analysed Residential Tenancies Board data between April and September of last year and found new renters are paying on average €214 more. Parts of the Midlands, north and west of the country recorded the largest gaps. The difference between rents paid by sitting tenants and new tenants in Donegal ranges from 17.3% for a two-bed property to 37.8% for a house with 4 bedrooms or more. The author of the report is Dr. Rachel Slaymaker. She says it's left some existing tenants afraid to leave their current properties.
That's certainly what we see. There are very big differences. I mean, you think on average €200 would be obviously a lot extra for a household to find. And that's just on average. When we're looking at larger properties in Dublin, for instance, for a 3-bedroom property in Dublin City, the difference would be more than €430. So obviously very difficult for people who are looking to move.
A warning's been issued after life-saving water safety equipment was damaged in Strabane. Over the weekend, throw lines were vandalised and thrown into the water at Strabane Canal. The Derry and Strabane Policing and Community Safety Partnership is reminding people of the potentially fatal consequences of misusing life-saving equipment at waterways across the district. The chair of the local PCSP, Councillor Sandra Duffy, says causing damage to such an important piece of equipment is unacceptable and shows a total disregard for the safety of the local community. Donegal County Council is hoping number of drop-in events across the county to outline supports available for the refurbishing of vacant and derelict properties. Funding resources such as the Vacant Property Refurbishment Grant Scheme, Repair and Lease Scheme and the Conservation Advice Grant Scheme are available for property owners to avail of. Grants of up to €84,000 are available. With dereliction an issue affecting Donegal, Councillor Patrick McGowan is urging people to attend the information sessions.
There's been a lot of talk over the years about the council getting tougher and reporting and trying to deal with their election, particularly if they're in close proximity to other houses and maybe neighbours complaining about the unsightly houses and overgrown and that. But at a time now that there's a big demand on houses, this is the opportunity. It's important that everyone go and get the information firsthand and talk about their own particular problems. There's no doubt, like, there will be issues out there, but the best way is to go sit down with the council and try and sort it out.
And a full list of those events is available on our website, highlandradio.com. Donegal County Council is to examine the potential use of solar-powered compacting bins in Letterkenny as part of a review of bin provision in the area. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh told a municipal district meeting there are too many complaints about the lack of bins in the town. He said such bins are now in use all over Dublin, and he noticed them last week in Carrick-on-Shannon. He said they hold 10 times more than ordinary bins and send electronic messages to the council when they're full. Calling for a review of bin location in Letterkenny and its environs, Councillor Kavanagh said it's time to look seriously at the compacting option.
They also have small openings that you can only really put a can or bottle into, so it stops the problem of people throwing domestic rubbish into bins, which is then scattered by dogs and cats and so on, and that's a problem in Letterkenny. There's also a problem of bins being overturned. This is something that's coming to us all the time as members. I've been round a good part of the country over the summer, and in all the big towns, it's these big belly solar bins that they have in use.
Those with limited mobility will now be able to enjoy the Tip O'Neill Trail in Inishowen. 2 all-terrain beach wheelchairs are available for use on the route. The Cathaoirleach of the Inishowen Municipal District, Councillor Terry Crossan, says it ensures those who were previously restricted can now enjoy more amenities.
They're of a very light construction and they're very manoeuvrable, and they can turn in very tight situations, so they're absolutely brilliant, and it opens up a whole new world to those who have previously been denied that access through their disabilities.
Another wind warning is in place in Donegal today. Strong and gusty west to southwest winds are expected to hit the county. Met Éireann is warning of the potential of falling branches and trees and loose debris, leading to difficult driving conditions. The status yellow alert remains in place until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, looking at the weather forecast, Met Éireann tell us to expect a mix of sunny spells and widespread showers. Some of those showers heavy with a chance of isolated thunder, and as we said, very windy this morning with strong to near gale and gusty southwest to west winds. Top temperatures today 12 to 15 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News for now. Back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock.
The obituary notice is for this Wednesday morning, September the 20th. The death has taken place of Francie Jamesy A. McCullough, Cloney, Key Road, Dunlow. His remains will repose at his late residence today from 12 noon. Funeral Mass on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock in St Cronus Church, Dunlow, with interment afterwards in Mahery Cemetery. Rosary both nights at 9 o'clock. The death has taken place of Mary Patricia Haughey, 4 Rosemount Kilmacrennan and formerly Killygordon, and 9 Park Nalonia, Mahernchur, Buncrana. Remains will repose at 4 Rosemount Kilmacrennan from 11 o'clock this morning. Funeral Mass on Friday morning at 11 o'clock in St Columba's Church, Kilmacrennan, with burial afterwards in New Lex Cemetery, Letterkenny. House private on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of May Doherty, Chapel Glen, Clonmany. Remains are reposing at her late home. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow morning at 22:11, going to St Mary's Church, Clonmany for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House private please from 10 o'clock tonight. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of James Harkin, Big Jim, Glebe, Clonmany. Funeral mass this morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Clonmany, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desire to Medical 3, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Compsgate Funeral Directors. Funeral mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. And the death has occurred of Frank Chauvelin, Crumlin, Ardra. Funeral from McCabe's funeral premises this morning, going to the Church of the Holy Family Ardra for funeral mass at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. For more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Get more spice in your life with the McSpicy at... Wow, this is actually really spicy. McDonald's. 100% chicken breast and a spicy, crispy coating with crunchy... Ooh, lettuce, all served in a sesame-topped... bun. So what are you waiting for? Let's get spicy. Served after 11 a.m.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 20th of September. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S8. It's game number 38. The numbers are 5, 4, 42, 81, 82, 34, 37, 30, 1, and finally 9. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Join us for the Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny used car sales event, taking place Wednesday 20th to Friday 22nd of September. We've got the best deals in town on pre-owned vehicles. Call in to us today at Canal Road, Letterkenny to view our full range available. We've got Tiguans, Golfs, Polos, Passats and even the pre-owned fully electric ID range. Discover our amazing offers and finance rates available. Book a test drive today with our team on 074 9122 333 or visit connellys.ie for more information.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Looking for the triple black option. Vans Selden with a leather upper, only €60. Save €15. Adidas and Nike triple black trainers will have you ready for back to school. Kids footwear from Nike, Adidas, Asics and Vans in all sizes. Get the trainer that fits you best by using your safe size experience and get to know your feet. Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure. Click on bmcsports.ie and get your free delivery.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme following the break there. We are joined in studio by a huge band and getting bigger all the time. It's the Murder Capital. We have 3 members of the band. Gabriel, Pascal Bake from Letterkenny on bass. Good morning, Gabriel. Thanks very much for joining us.
What's happening, Greg?
It's good to have you here. How are you keeping?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. We also have James McGovern, the vocalist with the band. James, how are you keeping?
Oh, very well, yeah. Happy to be here.
Really? At this time?
100%.
It's 10:10 in the morning, don't you?
Is it? Haven't slept.
That's what I was suspicious of. Cathal Roper from Donegal Town. Cathal, how are you getting on? Good to have you.
Yeah, it's
good to have you on the show as well. Am I right in saying that this gig coming up on Thursday night, it's the RCC, it's the first formal or gig at all in Letterkenny in Donegal?
Yeah, first ever time that we've played in Letterkenny since we began the band. It's been sort of in the works between myself and Jeremy Hurd. He has been he's helped so many artists, but definitely myself, like growing up, even when I was younger, in the RCC doing module in TY with Declan McClafferty. Jeremy just has a very good way of quietly guiding you in the right direction without hindering your growth, and he's continued to do that, like even to now. So yeah, I think when we got as far as Serbia this summer, I thought, well, we better get to Letterkenny.
Yeah,
there's no more excuses.
To some extent, it's kind of maybe the backwards route in that you know, you've blown up, you're playing huge gigs, and now you return home. Normally, you have to ply your trade sort of in your own backyard for years on end.
Gabriel did do that though.
Yeah, I did do that. Yeah.
Until he discovered you, James.
On a rainy November night in
Who's the
Dublin.
Who's the Andrew Ridley?
We're all friends here.
All right. And how did you actually come together as a band? I don't know. Do you want to take that one, James?
Yeah, we came together in college in Dublin. We were like, you know, doing some shows like under my name, doing some like college auditions, play some college shows and stuff like that. And then we just became a band. I don't know. It just felt like it wasn't after a short period of time, it felt like a more collaborative project, and it just felt like it needed to be a band in its own right. And then that was myself, Pump and Irv, and some past members, Matt and Morgan at the time, who left the band, and then we found Gabriel P. Blake and Diarmuid Brennan down a dark alleyway.
What were they doing, James?
They were singing to each other.
That sounds very romantic.
It was.
Okay, I mean, listen, whatever floats your boat. And then the pathway to success, like, you know, success, an overnight success that can take years, or people say, you know, how did you success happen? It happens slowly and then very quickly. How do you sort of describe the rise of this band and you know, what's been driving it?
You know, just rocket ship of creativity, I would say.
Artistically fleet-footed by the sounds of things.
A lot of hard work, and just been like, how are we going to do this? Definitely. And
So
then
luck is not the answer then.
Oh yeah, plenty of luck.
Our tour manager George said the last day, I don't believe in luck. I think you make your own luck, but you boys have bad luck.
Yeah. Or the other one is that, you know, the better you are, the luckier you are, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's lucky to be able to be doing it at all. I think so. That's the way we look at it.
Yeah, but you have played some big stages so far, Gabriel. Like, what's that been like?
It's been amazing. I think it was interesting being like, we were booked for Coachella 3 times before we were able to play it. And like the same thing happened with Glastonbury. Like, the bookings were there, but then the world fell apart. So it made it all the sweeter then when we actually got to play those shows.
Did you have any concern that the buzz or momentum could have been lost in that 2 or 3 year period? You know, when you're on the brink of the big stages, and then you know, for some it didn't actually. For some, the wheels came off in that interim.
Totally, yeah. I think
Obviously not enough concern to stop.
Yeah. I think it was like when, like, anytime you were doubting that you weren't like doing enough, I was like, oh well, Beyonce's not even doing a show at the minute. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
our spirit animal, Beyonce.
Spirit animal,
you didn't
we talk about her all the time.
You didn't compare yourself to the Coronas or Chasing Abbey, straight up to Beyonce.
Well, Coronas
that's
are
right.
good.
The Coronas are huge. I'm only messing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Stooges.
Okay, now come here. Where do you set your goals now, though? You know, I mean, obviously you're only at the beginning here, but you know, you've done bucket list stuff that I've talked to bands in the past, that the stuff that they want to do, you've done, right? And you never take anything for granted. You want to do it again and all. But what is there a plan?
I think we're just like, you know, a toddler who walked up its first step, to be honest, and we're just gonna keep fucking walking, like, you know.
I get you. Right, you're gonna sing 2 for us.
Yes.
What's the first one?
The first one is a tune called Crying. And I like playing it a lot because I don't really cry that often. But I want to dedicate it to
He's so sensitive.
a mate of the band who just passed away there this week, Ronald McAwee. And we saw him out in Denver when we were in America, so just want to play this tune for running. Call yourself accordingly.
I'm really trying to resist saying take it away, so would you just start?
Yeah, no problem.
Take it away.
In line to be pulled from recurring dreams. That night, those eyes became two streams. One glance from day could send me into the sky. I await my fate. It's all one take on needing to be so free. Yeah. My love, my luck are chained to me. The stars catch face. They send me into the sky, lost in time and space. Wait for it. The colors drip from your eyes. I'm caught inside and I'm asking for a friend. I'm crying. Is this our end? Won't touch, heartbreak. I'm wandering into my garden sky. I'm way too high, and I'm asking for myself. I'm trying, been crying. Is this our way to escape our way through the gates we built? For it, the colors drip from your eyes. I'm caught inside and I'm asking for a friend. I'm crying. Is this our end? Is this our end? Colors drip from your eyes. I'm caught inside and I'm asking for a friend. I'm crying. Is this our end? Is this our end? I'm waiting for you. I will, I wait, I will, I wait for. I will, I wait, I will, I wait for. I will, I wait, I'm waiting for you. I will, I wait, I'm waiting for you.
All right, murder capital there. Intense stuff, lads. There's no doubt about that. It sounds fantastic, as you know yourselves anyway. Well, 2024, is that already sort of, I mean, in this, I was going to say in this business.
What's next?
I was going to say this business as if I'm some sort of part of it. 2024, 23, yes, it is. It certainly is.
This is the first year that I've been asking what year is it, like, honestly.
That's right.
Yeah, it feels like that.
24.
That's the drugs.
2024. 2024, more music, bigger shows.
But, yeah, I mean, I presume the diary's filling up already, is it?
Yeah,
because there is a kind of a narrow enough window there for all the big stuff.
The hypothetical diary is certainly filling up, yeah.
Okay, in your heads. What about your own gigs? Ways of playing other than the RCC? Well, what are the plans in that regard, touring and all that kind of stuff?
Well, we've got a 7-week tour coming up, the Clown's Reflection Tour, starting October 5th in Berlin. Going all across Europe, Scandinavia, back into the UK, finishing up in Ireland, doing Dublin, Belfast and Cork.
James, what's the key to the reach been? Is it sort of the online presence, people sort of getting to your music organically, or I mean, you can't really rely on radio play anymore, can you?
I think it's everything. I think it's everything nowadays. The thing is, like, all the promotion and all the TikTok edits in the world won't cut through. It's just the music. I think
there has to be a product there, doesn't there?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use that word, but like, I would say there has to be a sort of a connection and a respect for the fact that when you're creating, it's not for an audience, it's for the individual.
Yeah. Who describes you as Irish punk, post-punk band? Is that something you have a say on yourselves, or is it the management or promoters, or?
It kind of was a scene that was sort of happening in Dublin at the time of when we started. And it's like, I think the first record sounded quite like
in that space, yeah.
And like for a long time that was the only reference point that people had to our music, and I think maybe when our second record came out, people who really believed that was like the entirety of what the band would be we're kind of shocked with what came next. But yeah, I think it's just it happened quite organically, but I don't think it was necessarily something that we had a mission statement of being. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. Yeah. All right. What I say, we're talking to 3 members of Chasing Capital. They've played all the big stages. Glastonbury. The Murder Capital. What did I say?
Chasing Capital.
Chasing Capital. My word.
Chasing Abbey's on the mind.
No, I saw them on the Late Late Show and I just don't get it.
That was a good Late Late Show. That was. I thought the Late Late Show was actually pretty good.
We're just going to sit here and rinse people. Let's do it.
No, I think there's about 40 people around going, God, I wish I'd have done that. Why didn't I think of doing that? Anyway, no, listen, they're hugely popular. It's just not my thing. Right, so you've played all the big stages. More to come, of course, bigger and better. But this is the first gig back in Donegal at the RCC. What's the situation, Gabriel, with tickets and people getting in to see it?
Yeah, so tickets are available on our website, themurdercapital.com, and the regionalculturalcentre.com, but they're very limited. They're en route to selling out, so if you're thinking of coming down,
I would imagine by the end of this conversation, they'll certainly be gone, because it's kind of gig people probably will say we were there. Do you know what I mean? Kind of that one. If things keep going the way they're going. James, the Murder Capital, where did the name come from? Is it because you were established in Dublin?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
It's just like any sort of idea or whatever, it just kind of comes to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it just feels right. It's sort of like, choosing a band name is like choosing a partner, I suppose. You hope that it lasts forever.
So you went on Tinder and found. You went on Tinder. And
I don't go online looking for love.
Well, why would you have to? You're the lead singer of a hugely successful band. Of course, you don't have to go on social media. Lads, what's the second last song we're going to do?
We're going to do Don't Cling to Life.
All right, brilliant stuff. Okay, this is the Murder Capital. Don't Cling to Life.
A crowd favourite. Take it away, Pumpy.
With all your chances gone awry, to be collected by your palms, if I had only stood aside, with our sediment in hand for a gold illusion to disarm then dance around your lonely cave. In my relentless state of charm, let's stay enclosed for all our days. As it feigns a deadly grip, the world collapses round my room. The water floats, your floors adrift. Your eyes demand the darkest blue. With hands held tight, it goes and goes. The light that once shone on the pale, our steady hands return to stone. Let's stay enclosed for all our days. Let's dance and cry. Failing this, let's dance and cry. So we remember why we die. We remember why we die. Yeah, failing this, let's dance and cry. Failing this, let's dance and cry. So we remember why we die. Ooh, we remember why we die. And don't cling to life. Don't cling to life. Don't cling to life. Don't cling to life. There's nothing on the other side. There's nothing on the other side. Don't cling to life. Don't cling to life. Don't cling to life. Don't cling to life. There's nothing on the other side. There's nothing on the other side. Da.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks very much, lads. If you want, get tickets, and I'd say they're like hen's teeth at this stage already. They're playing the RCC this Thursday night. It's their first gig back in Donegal, having played at the main stage at Glastonbury, Electric Picnic, big American and European festivals. Number one in the album charts was already, but the big prize, of course, that Donegal gig coming up on Thursday evening. Thanks very much. Really appreciate your time. And is that your earliest gig yet?
No.
Really?
No. We've done some 8 a.m.s, 6 a.m.s.
In KXP, I think we had to get up at 6 a.m.
Okay.
But yeah, we're just a shout as well that we're playing in Dunlewy on Friday for Culture Night. That'll be on RTE at 7 p.m. I think.
Excellent. All right.
Gabe doesn't forget the info.
No, I don't. I like the plugs. Like
someone has to do it, Gabe.
Yeah.
You know. Gabriel P. Blake from Letterkenny, of course. James McGovern. Well, James, where are you from?
I was born in Dublin and I grew up in Cork.
All right, brilliant stuff. And Cahill Roper, Donegal Town. Cahill, where did you get your interest in the guitar?
When I was 16, I always played like piano and clarinet and stuff.
Right. Were you in the AVS? Were you?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. I was doing the Donegal Youth Orchestra up in the RCC as well.
Brilliant stuff. All right, fantastic.
And then you just heard AC/DC and that was it. Like
that was the end of that.
Turned everything around.
You turned 360. You turned 360 degrees and walked away. All right then. The Murder Capital. Thanks very much indeed. That's Gabriel, James, Cahill, Damien, and Jermid not with us today, but you'll get the full show on Thursday.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at HighlandRadio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Student loans now available and free banking for students from your local and friendly credit union. Call 91-02126 or email loans@letterkennycu.ie.
Pour Corsica in Cork. Bring Burgundy to Blackrock. The Taste of France is in store at M&S with 20% off our whole range of incredible French wines. This is not just wine. This is M&S French wine. Over 18s only, subject to availability. T's and C's apply. Please drink responsibly.
An emotion stirred. An idea accelerated. That's progress you can feel. And the very definition of the Audi 241 range. From the sporty, iconic Audi A4 and the all-electric Audi Q4 e-tron to the pioneering Audi Q8 e-tron, offering greater range than you can even imagine. Test drive the Audi 241 range at an Audi dealer near you today.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why.
The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €6 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Homeowners, it's time to unlock incredible savings on your energy bills. Efficient Renewables is here to reduce your energy consumption, say goodbye to skyrocketing costs, and hello to renewable energy solutions. With no VAT on solar panels and the generous grants for both solar panels and heat pumps, see these innovative systems in action in our state-of-the-art showroom in Newton Cunningham today. Contact Efficient Renewables on 074 97 08320.
This weekend, Voices Centre in Carrigart celebrate a monumental milestone, a century in business. All weekend will be filled with festivities at the store. On Friday, don't miss John Breslin broadcasting his show live from Carrigart. Voices will have an abundance of delectable nibbles, streaming coffee, sumptuous ice cream, and an exciting spin the wheel game. So come on down and say hello this Friday from 12 noon as we celebrate 100 remarkable years of Voices Centre in Carrigart.
Thanks once again to the Murder Capital guys. Fantastic outfit. Great to see them doing so well. Hi, can you please wish Cathal Roper and the Murder Capital good luck for their show at the Regional Cultural Centre and Culture Night 2023 on RTE on Friday. That comes in from Neil and Maggie, indeed. Right, okay. We're joined on the programme now by the Sinn Féin Finance spokesperson, Deputy Piers Doherty. Good morning, Piers. Thanks for your time today.
Good morning to you.
It's good to have you with us. Okay, you're calling on the government to support the party's proposals to introduce temporary mortgage interest relief for, when you say struggling homeowners, do you mean all homeowners, or is this a targeted proposal?
Yeah, it is targeted in the way that it's applied. So it obviously doesn't apply to second properties, holiday homes and so on. So it's principal private residences. So it's not all homeowners. So it's domestic homeowners. And the second thing is it only applies to a portion of the interest. So Greg, what's happened in the last year, since July of last year, is we've had the ECB has raised the interest rates 10 times now, the latest being just last week. And a lot of that has passed through to customers in different ways. So if you're a tracker mortgage customer, unfortunately, you're going to get that rattle on your letterbox in the next week or so telling you that your interest has gone up in your mortgage for the 10th time since July last year. If you're one of the 100,000 people who've had their loans sold to vulture funds and sold with the support of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael at the time, even though I warned that interest rates would hike, then some people are already paying 10% interest rate in their loans. So most of these kind of interest rate hikes have been passed on to customers in that kind of category. And then for others, if you're on a fixed or if you're on a variable rate with a bank, it differs. Most people will have seen an increase, but not the same type of level of increases that you would have if you were on a tracker with the vultures or whatever. So what we're saying is that the government needs to introduce mortgage interest relief. And what that means is that the portion of interest, additional interest that you've been paying since last year, that 30% of that would be taken on by the state, up to a maximum of €1,500. So the person with a big mansion or whatever doesn't get the big bonanza here. We used to have mortgage interest relief. There was no cap in it, and it was for all mortgage, all interest. We're saying no, it needs to be targeted. It needs to be what's happened as a result of the inflation which is brought on by the war in Ukraine, and it needs to be temporary. So it is about supporting families in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And to kind of quantify this, Greg, the central bank in response to us did a bit of work on this. And this is before the most recent increase takes effect. But they said that 1 out of 5 households will see their mortgage interest rates or the cost of servicing their mortgage increase by €5,700 on average compared to last year. And 2 out of 5 households will be paying €3,000 more on their mortgage compared to last year. So that's a massive increase, a massive shock in terms of the income.
It is, of course, but Piers, none of this has happened by accident, has it? Because the ECB are raising interest rates because they're concerned about inflation. And I presume the idea being is they take money out of people's pockets and therefore it cools the economy down. So would softening that not mitigate against that action the ECB is taking? And then you couple that with the government spending more money than they're being suggested they might. In other words, having more money in people's pockets in the economy, that this is just going to keep inflation going up. So whilst we might get a 1,500 saving if we're lucky in a year, we're really going to be paying that back with skyrocketing inflation many times over the coming years if we don't do something about inflation.
Well, actually, it's quite interesting. And when you look at the figures in terms of the consumer price index, mortgage interest is a major contributing factor to the inflation rate that we have in the country. It's been estimated by some that it's about 1.4% of the overall inflation rate is mortgage interest relief. So mortgage interest has gone up by 50% in the last year. So that means it's a factor in inflation itself. So it's important to bear that in mind. But look, you're 100% right in terms of the ECB has a job to do, and that to bring inflation down to what their target is 2%. And their forecasts in the future show that they will get to that point in the next while. Which is actually a good thing for everybody, but it's also good when we look at this proposal because it allows us to do this in a temporary basis, because the ECB, once they start to get to that tipping point where inflation starts to reduce, which it is starting to reduce a wee bit, then they won't be increasing interest rates further, and they may even start to decrease them. And many economists think that will happen sometime next year. So it allows for us to do it temporary. The second thing is when the ECB is increasing interest rates, they're not really focused on the mortgage holder who took out a mortgage 10 years ago or 5 years ago. What they're really trying to do is to stop you borrowing tomorrow morning, or me borrowing or whatever, or to go out and buy a new car, or even to buy the new house. They're trying to stop us borrowing and spending money in the economy today. And they're trying to stop businesses to do the same. Basically, they're trying to kind of turn the country into a kind of recession. And it's a very fine balancing act they have to do in relation to unemployment and recession and so on and so forth. But they're trying to take money out of the economy.
I wish we could find another tool
to capture all of these people who've already borrowed.
I understand.
And that's why we're not talking about undoing everything the ECB is doing. What we're talking about is supporting a portion of the impact on these households.
I mean, we've got record savings on deposit here. We've got more millionaires than we ever had. I wish they could find another tool, another mechanism that didn't put the foot on the neck of people who are already struggling to tackle inflation, but it seems there aren't any alternatives. The banks have turned their backs on us with the mica, the defective concrete. They've literally just turned their backs on us. We're going to bail them out and rebuild their assets for them again. We've already bailed them out to the tune of billions. They're shafting savers. They're not passing on these interest rates to depositors. Why should the taxpayer again? Is there no mechanism we have to put the pressure on banks to lighten the load on their borrowers? They're still making absolute fortunes, rather than money coming out of our pockets again indirectly into the bank's pockets.
Yeah, well, look, on our proposal in terms of mortgage interest, Greg, one of the ways you actually fund this in a large way is actually looking at the levy that we have on banks. So we used to have a levy of brought in 150 million euro up to 2 years ago. The government decided to cut that in half. They're only taking in 87 million. I completely opposed it at the time. And what's happened now? Because see, with inflation, there's winners and losers. The people who are the losers are ordinary homeowners who are paying through the nose now in terms of the mortgages. But the winners are the banks. The winners are the energy companies. The winners are some that are involved in greedflation, but the banks are making massive profits now. Back to Celtic Tiger profits, our three banks are making €5 billion profit this year. That's estimated. And why? Because all the deposits we have on deposit with the banks, and there's huge amounts of deposits, they put them to the ECB, and the ECB, because they've increased interest rates, give more interest to the banks. So the banks are making huge amounts on this here, and through increasing the levy, we can actually put that money back into ordinary people's pockets. The issue of MICA, and this is seriously frustrating, and I've done a lot of work in relation to this here behind the scenes. I've met with the central bank. We've had very detailed discussions in relation to case studies in terms of the central bank and their role as a consumer from a consumer protection point of view. I've met with the BPFI, the Bank and Payments Federation, and I've encouraged them, and thankfully they did do this, to meet with the focus groups. And we've raised this in numerous times with the Minister for Finance in relation to having a pathway or more supports for MICA homeowners. I expect that we're going to see something in relation to that, Greg. I got the Finance Committee to write to the banks in the last number of weeks, and we've seen responses come in in the last number of days, saying that they are working with the department to actually look at a kind of bespoke product. And I know tomorrow there is a meeting that I'll be engaging with the Bank and Payments Federation in relation to MICA. Will it go far enough? I would imagine it's not. I would imagine it's more to do with the bridge financing, and we've been looking for zero interest rates for bridge financing and all of that. But the bigger issue is this here. The banks has skin in the game here. You nailed it on its head. We're rebuilding the assets of the banks, and the banks have skin in the game, and they should be contributing to this, not just making no profit on the back of it. They should actually be contributing.
And what I don't understand is that on one hand they plead ignorance. When people contact them, we don't really know what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And then on another hand, they say their loan books or whatever the terminology reflects these devalued assets. You know what I mean? I can't square that circle. To me, either you either know what's going on, or your actual loan books to your shareholders reflect the fact that you've got an awful lot of properties that are actually worthless. But anyway, do you think their books reflect that fact?
Well, that's actually one of the questions I asked them through the Finance Committee, and we have the banks coming in tomorrow, or today, sorry, to the Finance Committee. So some of these will be put to them in person, where we asked them what type of assessment have they carried out in relation to their loan books in terms of MICA, and it varies. We know, for example, Ulster Bank had a kind of desktop exercise that looked at kind of potential exposure to MICA, but it's very varied in relation to how it does and how each bank operates. But look, the long and the short of it is, in my view, what the banks have done is they've calculated that because these are your primary homeowners and they've nowhere else to go, that they're not going to default on their mortgage. If the banks thought that people were going to default on their mortgage and hand back the keys, then the banks would have a massive, massive problem. But they have calculated that this will be resolved through a lot of sweat and tears for the homeowners in the first instance, with some support coming from the state, and the banks can just sit back and watch their assets being restored. And I think it's an appalling way. I think at the end of the day, the banks should share some of the burden in relation to this. And, there are ways to do this. As I said, if we need to increase the levy on the banks to actually provide that support, then let's do it. But look, there are a lot of issues wrong with the scheme at the minute. We'll be bringing forward our own legislation to try and get this scheme to 100%, and that's our commitment to the people of Donegal. But in the meantime, we need to try and work with the fact that people have their homes demolished. People are going to credit unions for finance that is really, really expensive. People are having to borrow off neighbours and
I think
friends.
that's the minority, though. My suspicion is the majority of people actually aren't engaging. They're hoping for a change of government or successful court cases because simply can't.
We're only at the early stages.
Can I just to reiterate that commitment again, because there is a bit of cynicism in it. We're seeing political parties being formed as a backup plan effectively, and there's no guarantees. People should not underestimate the ability or the possibility that this government that's currently in at the moment could be re-elected if the numbers go a certain way. But Sinn Féin is committed to a fully funded 100% redress scheme for defective concrete block homeowners in Donegal and beyond.
Yeah, we are going to produce legislation, and Ona Bryn has been engaged with the different campaign groups in relation to this. And we will be producing legislation, which is the legislation that we would be implementing in government. So people will see well in advance of the next election, whether it's locals or generals or European elections, where Sinn Féin stands on all of this issue. Our commitment in relation to 100% is there. We don't believe the grant system is the right way to deal with this, Greg. And I don't think, as I said, I was going to make the point that some people, and we are in the minority at the minute because we're only at the early stage of this year, they're going to credit unions. Many people aren't going to get a loan from a credit union. Mm-hmm. Many people aren't going to get a loan from your friends or neighbours or families and all the rest. This scheme is not acceptable in my view. We shouldn't be asking people to rebuild their own homes. It is for people who want to build their homes, people who are involved in self-builds. It's a torturous process. For people who have no interest in doing it or who don't have the experience, we shouldn't be asking them to do it. So there's a different way of doing this, and we want to press forward. And that, whatever other people do in terms of campaigns or political parties, that's okay. Everybody needs to do their own thing. People will judge us in relation to our sincerity in this. We'll judge our leader in relation to her sincerity on it, and that's fine. But look, this is affecting my county in a huge way.
Look, ultimately, people will judge on delivery as well,
and that's it. And look, we're close to this. It's close to the bone. It's relatives, it's friends, it's people you went to school with. It's they're all affected. We know that it's not an issue of bricks and mortars. This is mental health. This is family breakdown. This is just, we need to find a solution to this, and there is a solution, and the state needs to step in. And we do have the resources. Like, that's the reality. We have the resources to do this, and we shouldn't be placing this on the ordinary person because it wasn't their fault.
It's multi-annual, it's multi-generational. There's a huge clawbacks, there's huge positives in terms of job creation. We could be targeting careers and what have you towards this. But anyway, listen, it's when we in Donegal we start talking about houses and mortgages, invariably we're going to end up on that topic. I do appreciate you staying with me. I know there's a lot of demand on you. Thank you very much indeed. That's Deputy Piers Doherty, Sinn Féin spokesperson on finance.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Remembering Joe Dolan, the 15th anniversary tour, coming to the Millennium Forum in Derry on Sunday the 8th of October, featuring members of the Dolan family and members of the Joe Dolan Band. Book now at millenniumforum.co.uk or call 04871 264455.
Quality matters. And when it comes to feeding your dog, you need quality you can trust. Gain Pet Nutrition's Elite range is formulated using years of animal nutrition research. And now, with new bag sizes and a Velcro seal, our 100% recyclable packaging keeps your best friend's food fresher for longer. Gain Pet Nutrition's Elite range. Give your best friend the very best. Special offers at participating retailers. Terms and conditions apply.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
Are you a self-assessed income taxpayer? Tuesday, October 31st, pay and file deadline is approaching fast. The quickest and easiest way to file your return and pay your tax is by using ROS, Revenue's online service. It also gives you until Wednesday, November 15th. Register for ROS today at revenue.ie. Don't miss the deadline. Pay and file on time.
Free GP care is now available for more people in Ireland. As a result, you may be eligible for a means-tested GP visit card, depending on your personal circumstances and your income and expenses, like rent or mortgage and childcare costs. To find out more or to apply for a GP visit card, go to hse.ie/GP visit cards, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Now, you're welcome back to the programme. We're joined in studio by two guests. Ken, good morning, Ken. Thank you for your time. And James Devaney, Drug and Alcohol Rehab CE Scheme Supervisor with Letterkenny CDP. James, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
We're speaking ahead of Saturday, the 23rd of September. You're hosting a recovery walk in the town park in Letterkenny from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. And it's to promote healthy recovery from drink and drugs. Are you seeing any trends, James, in the drug and alcohol rehab in terms of, people's dependency on drink and drugs? Are you seeing an increase? Are you seeing changes in what people are becoming dependent on?
There would be slight changes. Yes, there is the change. Cocaine would be becoming more apparent, but on the ground, alcohol would still be the number one coming forward for people seeking help. There's also a change. There's more people coming forward for help as well.
Does that represent, do you think, an increase in people dependent on alcohol, or is it maybe more awareness of the services that you're providing, people saying, right, I've heard other people have got help, I want help? What do you think it is?
I think there's a bit of both there, Greg.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of both. There is more people coming forward, and I suppose that's what Saturday's about. It is about reducing the stigma and reducing the shame around addiction and especially around recovery. With any other illness, people can come forward, people can talk about it, say if it's diabetes or even cancer, people can talk about it quite openly. When it comes to addiction, it's almost like the elephant in the room that nobody likes to address. Nobody likes to talk, nobody likes to come forward. For some people, it can be a very uncomfortable journey coming forward at the start. It can be an uncomfortable conversation, but events like Saturday where we show that recovery, number one, is possible, but also that recovery can be a very positive lifestyle change for them as well. It opens up a whole new life for them.
Yeah, but there's a stage to get to before you get to the
Yes.
stage of
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
I think everybody knows people who you suspect they have an alcohol problem, but they don't see it themselves.
They don't see it themselves,
and often in speaking to people in the past, there comes a point where they realise it, but you can go for quite some time, whereas you think everything's okay.
Yeah, and that's where an awful lot of the hidden harm in Ireland happens just at that point before they come for help. And that's why in CDP there would be a lot of help there. You know, you have your White Oaks, you have your AA, you have your NA, but in CDP we would have two support workers, outreach support workers in the community, helping people bridge that gap. People who's just not ready yet to stop, but they're on that, I suppose, that first piece of motivational change. And the two support workers help them round that wheel a little bit further, where they end up in maybe addiction services, or they end up in White Oaks, or they go to NA. And CDP also, we have a CE scheme that has 14 participants on it in the first early stages of recovery to help them navigate all those, I suppose, all those things.
Some of them still drinking?
Not always would.
I know you
some
wouldn't
of them,
recommend it, but some
can be. They're just starting off on the journey.
That's what I mean, yeah.
You know, very often the road to recovery can be dotted with periodic relapses at the start. Very few get it the very first. Like I'm in recovery myself. I didn't get it the first time myself. It's always dotted with bits and pieces of relapse.
We'll come back to your situation. Ken, 15 years in recovery now?
Yeah.
You started drinking actually really quite late, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't take my first drink till I was 21, which is quite late, you know. But I suppose it became problematic very early, though, you know.
Really?
What I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was maybe 8 or 10 years later that I started the thing. When I look back on it, you know, and when I talk to people, family and stuff, it was nearly a problem straight away, you know.
And
So
was it the fact that you...
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that's when I think when they talk about the isms of alcohol, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, that I would have had a lot of stuff probably before I took a drink, you know, a lot of, I was probably just getting ready. But, sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say, just to sort of get us a better understanding of it, is it the fact that you would get intoxicated really quite quickly with a small amount of drink? Did you not know when to stop drinking? Did it change your personality? Like, what do you think those around you saw in those early years, Ken, or what did you see in yourself?
Yeah, I think, you know what I mean, certainly would have changed my personality, but it would have made me, I would have been, as a child, I would have suffered a lot of anxiety. A lot of stuff would have gone on in my early childhood, you know what I mean, with schools and stuff like that. I would have been hospitalised a lot when I was a child. And so I think that all came out. And obviously when I took the drink for the first time, I felt part of, you know, and I was able to communicate better with people, you know what I mean, and I was able to think. But I went on that journey of life, of having children, of getting married, having children, buying a house. I had a good job in Dublin. I was working in the hospital in Dublin for 20 years and holding down, you know, functioning, you know, problematic drinking, you know, and certainly, it was as I say, it wasn't, going back to what you were saying, definitely wasn't the quantity, you know what I mean, it wouldn't take much for me to be drunk, and I never drank from the top shelf, as they say, you know. Never had a problem with drugs or gambling or anything like that, but responsibility sort of went out the window, you know what I mean, and like not being there for the kids, you know, physically being there but not, you know, present.
As part of your, sorry to fast forward, Ken, as part of your recovery, as you just mentioned that, regret too, you know, guilt. Do you know what I mean? Because you're dealing with an addiction. You're if that's how you describe it, you want to be clear of that. But there's some stuff that can't be undone. Do you have to work through that as well as part of this process?
Absolutely. That was the beginning of that would have been in White Oaks in 2008. Okay. Getting an insight into, because I remember going and being in White Oaks and them telling me the easy part of this kind is going to be putting down the drink.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and I didn't know. There was a lot of stuff I would have heard in White Oaks and in the early times of AA of things that weren't going in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yep. But as I stayed around and started to recover, I started to learn more and more, and learn every day. Like even to be here today, you know, challenging myself and learn about, you know, my triggers and stuff like that. And so I certainly learned a lot in White Oaks. And I often say, like, you know, White Oaks got me going, but it's the likes of AA and people like me, like James, and people in the fellowship that keep me sober. But obviously I have to maintain, regret. Thank God I don't have a whole lot of regret, you know what I mean? Because I said,
you've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. To quote the Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. So I've been ongoing working with.
But how do you characterize your 26 years? Because obviously, you were there and a provider, I presume, as well, and you know what I mean. Obviously, maybe you feel that the things you missed out on, but you were there, right? So how would you characterize that 26 years as a drinker? Yeah,
I always say like you're just in a fog, for that land, and I would have suffered with blackouts like many do. You know what I mean?
And then the anxiety that triggers and all that.
And the anxiety of the drinking. And then what I learned then is just like, I can't say enough about family, and people speak a lot about family. Like, you know what I mean? It is a family disease. You know what I mean? It's been said many times, you know what I mean? And it's communication would have been a big thing coming out of treatment, with family. Because sometimes we can go off on our own thing and we're going to meetings. We replace it nearly with meetings somewhere, So I had to learn to try and communicate with my family, and so we went on try and go on this journey together of recovery, And but actually, just for myself, I mean, I haven't left White Oaks in 15 years. I'm still there. I've been a volunteer there for the last 15 years.
Yeah. And was there a point? Was there a point that you says, right, there is something going on here, there is a problem, is there something that you said, right, I have to change this?
It would have been said to me for years, even by work colleagues and family, that I needed help.
Right.
But it wasn't until I had a major incident in 2008, in the sense that there was a lot of stuff, that I lost, and that was the first time that I picked up the phone to get help for myself. You see, I would have been good at manipulating my mother and father and getting people to do things for me. I needed to be good at that in order to keep the addiction going.
You're functioning. You were functioning, and you did what you had to do to continue.
So for the first time in 2008, I lifted the phone and I rang White Oaks, and they began the process of getting me into treatment and stuff like that. And like, thank God, so far, it hasn't been all a bed of roses by any means. You know what I mean? Because as you say, the crutch is gone. And I have to learn to live without it. But I from my personal experience, and like same as James here, I get so much from carrying the message and helping others if I can. Yeah, I'm not trying to look for people to fix every day of the week.
No, it doesn't. You don't come across like that. No, but what it comes across as me, you're saying, this was my experience. Are you feeling that? Well, if you are and you want to change, I can this is what I did. You know what I mean?
And that's what carrying the message is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? Yeah, right. Caroline, can you get the news in there, please, if you don't mind? James, we're going to take a quick break for the news, if that's okay.
No problem.
And we'll come back to both of you then. I don't want to rush through. I won't hold you very much longer, but I just don't want to say, right, that's where we have to leave it because of the news. So you're all right for 5 or 10 minutes. All right, stay where you are. Thanks very much indeed for that.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Yes, indeed, and we'll have more from James and Ken after we get the news headlines now, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A teenage boy has died in a crash in County Monaghan. The single car collision happened in Carrickaderi, Clontibbert at around 1:30 this morning. The 17-year-old driver was pronounced dead at the scene. New renters are on average paying 16% more than existing tenants. The new ESRI report published today highlights the growing gap in prices faced by existing and new tenancies. The percentage between rents paid by sitting tenants and new tenants in Donegal ranges from 17.3% for a 2-bed property to 37.8% for a house with 4 bedrooms or more. An inshore fishers representative on Donegal County Council's Fisheries Committee says the number of ministers and TDs visiting the ploughing championships this week reflects the gap between the farming and fishing sectors in successive governments' lists of priorities. Arranmore Island-based Jerry Early says there's been a lack of cohesion since Ireland joined the EU, and the fishing sector has consistently been the sacrificial lamb when a deal had to be done. The Garda Representative Association says an internal report backs what they've been saying about new rosters. A confidential internal Garda document from 2019 found that the new roster the Garda Commissioner plans to introduce wasn't fit for purpose. The Donegal based president of the GRA, Brendan O'Connor, says they've been saying that all along, that it won't work. Another wind warning is in place for Donegal today. Strong and gusty west to southwest winds are expected to hit the county. Met Éireann is warning of the potential of falling branches and trees and loose debris, leading to difficult driving conditions in places. And the Irish language broadcaster Ronan McAwee will be laid to rest in Donegal on Friday. The former Radio na Gaeltacht, the presenter's funeral mass will take place in St Mary's Church in Derrybeg. He died at his home in Gweedore last evening at the age of 53. He had been ill for some time. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much indeed, Donald. We're in conversation with James Devaney and Ken as well. James, is it particularly difficult? Maybe it's not particularly difficult, but I imagine it's incredibly difficult to give up drink. Maybe it's easier with drugs because you just don't go around people that have them or what. But with drink, it's everywhere. Every corner, every main street, every time you go into a supermarket, every time you watch the football, if you go to a communion, there's drink. If someone wins a football match, there's drink. Yeah. If someone's dead, there's drink. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Does that make it more difficult and challenging in the recovery process?
The drink would be more socially, I suppose, more socially acceptable and more out there. But alcohol, it's a drug as well, the same as any other drug, same as cocaine, same as heroin. It's all about, it's people's crutch. And stopping it and changing their life, I know from myself and I know from working with a lot of people, it's a very, very scary prospect. As Ken says, yes, they're stopping it, but there's that first thought and that fear comes on. What do I do without it? How do I live without it?
How do you fill the gaps?
How do you fill the gaps? What about, and it's very like a grieving process, because you're letting go of you're not just letting go of a chemical, you're not just letting go of alcohol and drugs, you're letting go of a lifestyle, you're letting go of the people that you knocked around with. Sometimes you're letting go of family members, you're letting go of a lot more than just the bottle or the drug. And it's that change. It's about, I suppose, finding new networks, finding new supportive people. It's a huge change.
But the function of this conversation is to show that there is, you can make those changes.
Yes.
There is a life after drink and alcohol. There's a very fulfilling, more healthy, more in yourself sort of situation. Like, it is tough, and you have to recognise it's tough, and it's tough to recognise you have a problem. It's tough to go and get help. It's tough to stay off, but that doesn't mean that everything that follows does not compensate you for that.
Yeah. And it's I suppose when we look at addiction's a taker, but recovery's a giver. And if we look at what addiction can take away from us, if we look upon recovery as what recovery can give us, that new life, that new people, new supports, jobs, training, education, housing, all those things come into play. It's not just, as I say, it's not just stopping the chemical. And that's why with the CDP and the projects we run, those first 4 years on the CE scheme are really helping people, helping their own personal development, getting maybe people back into education, getting people back onto training courses, getting them a bit of work experience, bulking up their CV a wee bit. Because very often coming out of addiction, a CV can be very bare. It can be very, very bare. And this is what the drug rehab CE scheme is about. It's about bulking up that there. Because it can be one of the biggest triggers an early recovery. It could be housing, it could be no employment, it could be no prospects, no training. And this is what the CE scheme is about, giving people prospects, giving people new hope. And that's what recovery is about, new hope. And that's what we have the Saturday's event about. It's celebrating that.
And we'll talk about that a bit more. Ken, come in there, please.
There you were saying, like, I just give you an example. You're talking about, like, especially in the early days of protecting yourself from the alcohol, and as you said, it's everywhere. And I remember myself coming out of treatment, and I started going back into the pubs for about 6 weeks, and going watching football and stuff like that.
So you thought, I can still be in the environment, but I can drink a Coke or a water or something?
Actually, it was because I had the aftercare, and it was said to me in aftercare by a man. He said, "Are you going?" He said, "Are you going?" He got something from me, and I went all defensive. And I said, why? I'm not drinking, He said, you're going to drink,
right.
So they talk about the tools, all those tools you get to protect yourself. And then I was just thinking of something. I heard one thing from a man at a meeting one day, and he just said, you can have all the tools you like. If they're not sharp, they won't work.
Yeah.
So I have to maintain. So that's what I'm doing daily, is maintaining, You know.
And is that a slog? Is it? Because I want to encourage people. Because maybe one person listening to this, and that's what we need, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a slog, but it's not, is it? It's just part of your life.
I suppose there's a difference between sobriety and contented sobriety.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I always say I didn't get sober to go around down. You know what I mean? And would have said to me after a few years, you're walking tall, you're taller. People would have said it, wouldn't have seen me. You know, so they'd notice where I must have been slouched over for years. You know, carrying the. So no, certainly. I think, obviously in the early days, you know what I mean, it was difficult, you know what I mean, and I made it particularly difficult on myself, you know, because I would have still had that shield around me, you know, and I wasn't letting anybody in like a sponsor or anything like that, and but I was still doing lots of stuff. I was doing the aftercare, and I was doing my meetings, and I was doing what I was asked to do, but I still needed extra. I needed to get to talk to somebody, you know, in a really safe environment that he could come in and start to trickle, because obviously I was running on my emotions, running for all my life, you know, and they talk about the geographical running and then the other stuff where you're running from yourself. So I done the geographical stuff, Dublin to Wicklow, Wicklow to Donegal, you know, so I'm not on that journey anymore. There's no more running. I mean, it would have been easy to say no to this today. This is part of the challenge in my recovery, you know.
You're meeting that challenge head on, Ken, no doubt about that. A message come in here, and I actually say it's one message, but it's probably reflective of people in a lot of situations out there today, and it reads as follows, James. There's a member in my family, and they will not admit that they are an alcoholic. As a result, we've had to cut all ties with them, and now they've started to badmouth us online, which isn't, we can't talk to that, but that's fine. But I've been advised to stay away from it and offline. I've had to cut all contact. Am I doing the right thing to isolate myself from him? I feel so helpless and guilty. So we'll park the whether there's a to and fro and online. I think it's a typical situation where people have tried to help someone. They don't want the help at that time, or they don't admit they have a problem, and then they've had to protect themselves and say, well, you won't listen to me, I'm going to have to take a step back now and protect my family unit and those around me. And then they go, well, what if something happens to them? Am I being a bad person in their life? There's no easy answer to any of this, but what would you say to that person, James?
There is no easy answer, and it's certainly reflective of addiction, and as Ken mentioned, about the effects that it has within the family. And one of the hardest decisions for family members is making that decision to step back. What I always say is, if it affects the family, there's as much help out there now for family members, like that person that has sent in that text or that email. There's as much help out there now for the family members as there is for the people taking the alcohol, because very often the people around can suffer greatly, because the person taking the chemical or drugs, they're anaesthetised. They don't feel the pain. But the family members haven't got drugs, they haven't got drinks to numb their pain, and they're left sitting with that and making decisions like that, and making decisions for their children and for other family members, and sometimes the only decision left to them is to step back.
Yeah, you've had way more experience in this, Ken and James, than I would have, but I've spoken to a lot of people, and it's very rare that they make a decision or have a realization because someone said something to them. Often they kind of have to arrive at that point themselves. Does that mean then there's nothing you can say, or no point trying? Or
my experience is, and this is where family support comes in very, very important. Family support helps the person, like that person who sent in the text, that they become stronger themselves. They're able to set boundaries, that then when the person who is taking the chemical sees the strength in the other person, as evidence-based, it does show they do turn to the person then for help. But until the person's ready themselves, that is I suppose it's the hardest thing about addiction. It is brutally tough, and that's why we want to promote recovery. The more we show that recovery is possible, but it's also a better life, that people can hear, well, hold on, if they can do it, maybe I could give it a try. But I definitely would recommend family support, either through Donegal Addiction Services, or either through the Alcohol Forum, or through the CDP outreach workers. You know, like there's 3 people there that if they Google up, they will get the numbers for those. There's a lot of family support out there as well.
Ken, I mean, you know, not the opposite of what's happening in other countries. The government here seem to refuse to want to recognise the carcinogenic problem with alcohol. I don't think there's less pubs, but I don't think there's ever been more booze available than there is now. It's in every shop. All of those pub licences are now off licences. We're seeing the government looking to extend opening hours so that people can drink till 6 o'clock in the morning. Alcohol is intertwined with culture in terms of adverts, sponsorship, football. Do we need to pull back on that, Ken, a little bit? Do you know what I mean? And sort of start saying, right, what impact is this having on people's lives? Not just the drinkers too, but the primarily probably women that dread that football game at the weekend because they know he's heading out for a few pints, and she knows that when he gets back, he's going to have a go with her, or she has to try and hide from him. Do we need to sort of, as a society, say, well, is this the country that we want? Is this the relationship with alcohol that we want, Ken?
I think, like, you know, I mean, I wasn't a house drinker. I didn't drink in the house, but I mean, I see a lot, especially with women. I see it through treatment that it's like, if I want to get a drink, I'll get it. You know, there's no doubt in that. You know what I mean? There was many attempts by family, you know, to try and get me help. You know what I mean? But as I say, I wasn't a house drinker. But if somebody wants to get wine, or if the off license is closed at 10:30 at night or 11. They'll get it.
You can get it delivered.
You have
in
to
a
think,
taxi
but
now.
I was going to say that you have to think with the taxis, you know, bringing it in, and we hear a lot of that, you know. And I mean, I think I'd say about 90% of women are drinking in the problematic drinking would be drinking in the home. You won't see them in the pubs, you know. Other than that, I don't.
Do you think societally? I know the Alcohol Forum. You know, they probably are frustrated with the fact that we're I'm not speaking on behalf, I'm just interpreting some comments in previous conversations that we're actually not moving to sort of restrict or to tighten up. We're actually getting more liberal.
We are
in terms of alcohol in this country.
Before I was working in this job, I would have worked with the Alcohol Forum. I would have worked in family support, but I was also working when the public health bill came into place. And like, it's evidence-based worldwide. The more outlets, the more availability, the higher the rate of alcohol abuse, addiction and hidden harm within families.
Yeah, okay.
It's evidence-based worldwide.
There's lots of hope for people out there. If you know, both Ken and James are former dependent on alcohol, and now both in recovery for a long time and living happy and fulfilled lives. If you reach out, the help is there, and it seems to be really quite well resourced. Again, this Saturday, the 23rd of September, the CDP are holding a recovery walk in the town park in Letterkenny. It's from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So it's lovely to get out in the fresh air as much as anything else. And also there's a ceremony as part of that as well, James.
Yes, the event is about celebrating recovery. It's about bringing together the recovery community in Donegal. It's about bringing their families, but it's also about bringing services together as well. It could be a Donegal Addiction Services, it could be White Oaks, it could be anybody that's involved with recovery. But part of Saturday is we're going to have a small remembrance ceremony for people who didn't make it because of their addiction. Like, sadly, on our own scheme, we lost one last year. Lovely young fella. He didn't make it. And there is and that's the sad thing about addiction. Not everybody, like any illness, not everybody makes it. So we're just having a wee dignified remembrance ceremony and it's open to, if anybody in Donegal has lost a family member to addiction, we will be remembering those people. We will have a wee ceremony there at the day, about halfway through it, to remember the people who lost their battle with addiction.
James.
Yeah.
And Ken, if this interview is part of your journey, box ticked. Well done. What did you want to say there?
I was just thinking of gratitude, you know what I mean? And I just want to I'm very thankful to White Oaks and the staff in White Oaks, and I'm also very thankful to CDP and likes of James and Margaret Toner and the people down there, you know, that have helped me, and obviously my family, you know what I mean, have stuck by me, and they were tremendous, you know. And my mother and father are deceased, you know, but you know what I mean, you think of people like that if you're doing something like this, you know.
Of course, yeah.
So, and look, listen,
and you're always their baby. It doesn't matter if you're 40.
But there absolutely is hope for people. you know, that are...
James, settle yourself.
What did he say?
I said your mum and dad and mine have passed on as well. You're always their kid, you know, right up until the day they pass on,
40,
even if you're 40.
Oh, thanks for that. I didn't cut
No,
that.
you see, I wasn't suggesting you were 40. I wasn't guessing your age. It's James trying to get me in trouble. But I get you. And as you say, you remember those people too. And hopefully they're looking down and proud of you, Ken, for what you've done with your life. Did you want to add something else, James?
Yeah, we also have an event on next Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday the 27th at 7 p.m. in the community centre. We're having a walking football game as well. Again, it's open to anybody that's involved with recovery, family members, people in recovery services, open to all ages, all genders. You don't have to be as good as Pele. It brings everybody onto the one level, walking football.
But it's also good fun.
It's about having a laugh and having a bit of crack.
Ken, well done. James, thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
If people just land down at the town park at 1, isn't it? It's just land down.
Between 1 and 3. Just land down, come.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
there's tea and coffee there, there's music, there's face painting for the kids, and there's games there for the kids as well. It's a family event.
Well done to the two men, James and Ken. Great listening to your stories. You are heroes. Dolores says, great to hear the two men talk of their experiences, strengths and hopes. God bless you both, identifying with the person too that called in also, which is nice. Well done, gentlemen. Have a lovely rest of the day and good luck with the weekend.
Thank you. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Join us for the Highland Radio Hoolie in the beautiful resort of Sulu from the 14th to the 21st of September 2024 for a week of non-stop country music and crack. Join me, David James, alongside some of the biggest names in country music. We've got the legendary Margot, the sensational John McNichol, the fabulous Robert Mazzell, Claudia Buckley, Olivia Douglas, Hugo Duncan, Jim Devine, Sean Cuddy and many more. Your package includes 7 nights of pure luxury at the 4-star Sol Costa Jurata Hotel with dinner and breakfast included. You'll have access to all the incredible shows, poolside entertainment, airport transfers and a delicious dinner every evening. All this for just €817 per person sharing. Don't miss out on this unforgettable experience. Book your spot today by contacting Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. The Highland Radio Hoolie in Saloon, 14th to the 21st of September. It's the country music extravaganza you won't want to miss. We'll see you there.
Looking for the best place in the Northwest to get a bed or mattress? Restex Beds and Mountaintop Letterkenny has a great selection and great prices. Restex Beds has everything you need for a good night's sleep. Visit them today and sleep better tonight.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Enhance your skills with SafeTech's part-funded training programs. At SafeTech, we provide courses including first aid, roadworks, people moving and handling, confined spaces, electrofusion and machinery training for Ireland and UK sites. Also online programs such as water hygiene, construction supervisors, safety reps and much more. If you have a group for training, SafeTech will go to you. Contact SafeTech today at safetech.ie and take the first step towards upskilling and safety compliance.
Right now in Ireland, 1 in 6 adults struggle with reading and understanding information and can feel locked out of life in areas like careers, education and daily tasks. At An Post, we're proud to support NALA, the National Adult Literacy Agency's work to improve adults' reading and writing skills, to unlock opportunity for everyone. If you need some help, call NALA on 1800 2020 80.
All right, thanks very much to our last two guests. Really useful conversation. I hope it's helped someone or inspired someone out there. You always hope that's what happens when you do things like this. It's been a mixed bag of a show, isn't it, between that and Murder Capital singing and all the other stuff. You get it all here on the 9 till noon show, and thanks so much for being with us. It's greatly appreciated. We still have some business news with Kieran coming up, and plenty of other bits and bobs to keep you entertained up until 12 here on the 9 till noon show. I used to be a big drinker, says a listener, and mixed it with prescription drugs as a big part of depression. Recovery's a long, lonely time, but worth it. I regret it all now, but hindsight is a great thing. Indeed, I get you. Good morning. Our mortgage went up €56 a month with the last hike. It's a modest semi-detached. We are not in arrears and are just about okay to pay our monthly premium. Will we be considered for mortgage interest relief? Thank you. I'd imagine so under their proposals. It's your private home. It's not an investment property or what have you, so you should be entitled to that. The only good news is it seems that the ECB have used up all of their interest rate hikes, so we should see a period of stability, and then maybe towards the end of next year, 1/4 or 0.5% off. That seems to be what the financial experts are saying. So in terms of the shocks, in terms of interest rate hikes, now that it's obviously within the gift of the banks to raise or lower interest rates themselves outside of what the ECB do, except for trackers. But it seems that we are at the top of these interest rate hikes. Hi, Greg. I'm on the tracker mortgage. It's up €370 a month. Wow. Can you imagine? If you got a pay rise or you get an extra tenner in tax in the budget or what have you, it wouldn't even look at the extra €370. And then, of course, depending on how you heat your house, the coal or oil, the price of oil, gas as well, really, whichever way you look at it. And now the price of petrol and diesel, it's up over 180 now in most places. Diesel started to creep ahead of petrol as well in terms of prices. We're just heading into the winter again now, and the bills are starting to stack up again. It's a real pain. Good morning, Greg. Will you tell that man that we know it was the government in Europe who gave free money to people not to work that drove up inflation? He never said that was a factor. I know exactly what you're saying, and I've heard this. I've heard this said before, but the economy is our economy is flourishing. We don't see, but it's flourishing. We're at full employment. The economy is operating almost at full capacity. Everybody that wants a job effectively has a job at the moment. People are able to move within jobs to improve their life and situation. €130 billion of savings are on deposit. A lot of people have a lot of money. That's not all COVID payment money. I understand the argument that some make that because people were paid not to work, that's the cause of inflation. There's global inflation. There are countries that never adopted such policies or adopted them different to us. They're also in the same inflationary cycle. So I understand some are saying that, but it's not actually demonstrably true. Now, if they demonstrate to you how that's true rather than just saying something that could be true, then I'd be interested. But it's easy to demonstrate why we are seeing mass inflation, and there's no doubt the spend coming out of lockdown contributed to that. Greg, feel sorry for the fishermen. Such a hard job and at times dangerous life. Farmers are selling themselves away. They are being tempted by all these handouts coming from Europe, encouraging them to destock their herd, plant their land and trees. If this money stops coming in, they'll regret their decision to sign up for all these schemes. Well, they can look at the fishermen. They're being paid to tie up their boats. They're being paid not to use their. Quotas. The piers now have cruise ships tied up to them and leisure craft. I think an awful lot of people might say an awful lot what you might see in farming is what we saw in fishing. Yes, Ireland should have a referendum on illegal immigration. France, Italy and Poland are tightening up on on who gets in. Why shouldn't we deport all proven illegals as the only answer? Otherwise, the country's economy will collapse. Well, there is a policy to, that's what direct provision and all that is, that you assess people, and if they're here illegally, you do deport them. I think what you're talking about, or what's talked about more, is actually really pulling up the drawbridge and not taking our share of agreed refugees. Now, whether you separate out what's happening in Ukraine versus refugees from other countries, how do you phrase that question? Do you know what I mean? Hi, Greg. Mickey Hart's CV at Tyrone wanted rid of him. He wouldn't go, so they had to kick him out. Louth wanted him to stay, so he walked out, and now he's gone to Derry, where he's not wanted. I'm not getting a true sense of that. I'm hearing a lot of high-profile football people say that, but what are the fans saying? I'd love to hear from more fans. Greg, I had a mortgage out between 1992 and 1994, and the interest rate was 18% then. I remember, funny you should say that. I think it was the 80s. My mum and dad's mortgage was 15%, but it's like comparing apples with oranges, I think. I don't think it's like the same as it is now. Say, for instance, if you were earning 30 grand a year back in the 80s or 90s, or 20 grand a year, you could get a house for maybe 80 grand. So that was 4 times your wage, right? Now, if you're on 60 grand a year, 4 times your wage is 240,000, and it wouldn't even look at a house. Do you know what I mean? Certainly not a comparable house. So it's the things have changed since then, so it's not an exact comparison. That's what I was told anyway. Hi, I'm wondering if your listeners can help me. My 2 children have grown up a lot and have a lot of unbroken toys in good nick. Where can you give them into that other children can enjoy? Thank you. Now, we're coming into a very important time of the year. This listener and many other listeners as well have toys that are in good nick. They're not boxed, they're not unbroken, but they would like someone else to get the benefit of them. I did see on Facebook a charity shop looking for stuff, but anyone out there that could make use of unbroken toys in good condition that could be passed on to other children now that this listener's children have grown up a little. Right, okay. Good morning, Greg. Can you please congratulate Dean Conahan from Milford on winning a gold medal at the Ploughing Championship in the under-21s yesterday from all his family? Thank you. Yes, indeed, we can. Congratulations to you. Right, let's take a break. We'll return with business news.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
My spelling always stopped me from doing things, but thanks to my class with Donegal Education and Training Board, I've learned how the computer can help. It was hard to take the first step, but now there is no holding me back.
Literacy changes lives. Make a change in your life today by contacting Donegal ETB and find a class that suits you.
If you'd like to volunteer to help someone make that change, call in to your local Donegal Education and Training Board Further Education and Training Centre.
Supported by Adult Literacy for Life, the Government of Ireland and the European Union.
Tickets! Get your tickets! Arsenal, Chelsea, Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester United, Spurs and more. Home games and all the goals scored. Don't be shy, it only takes a minute to win it.
It's Cadbury FC's biggest football ticket giveaway ever, plus thousands of other prizes to be won every game week. Just head to matchtheminute.cadburyfc.com to get your match minute. If a goal's scored in that minute, you win. Enter today. T's and C's apply.
New this week at Home Store and More. All mattress toppers are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price mattress toppers are gone, they're gone. Also, all bar stools and chairs and all metal kitchen bins are still all half price. But when all the half price bar stools and chairs and all the half price metal kitchen bins are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
For the biggest names in perfumes and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dior, Armani and Hugo Boss, Victor and Rolf, Marc Jacobs and Lancôme. Also Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Prada and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Have I got news for you? The Harvey's Point Cabaret is back. Every Wednesday in September and October, Eamon has gathered a galaxy of stars to captivate and entertain. A scrumptious dinner, fabulous entertainment, or a 2-night accommodation package. Harvey's Point Cabaret 074 972 2208 for an immediate reservation or harveyspoint.com.
Summer may be over, but the need for storage is just beginning. Dealside Garden Furniture brings you the perfect solution with full range of sizes in garden sheds, outdoor canopies and much more. Safely store your barbecue, patio furniture and outdoor toys. Dealside Garden Furniture Lifford, made to measure and one-off designs are our speciality. Find us on social media.
Welcome to the Donegal Lost and Found Sounds, brought to you by Specsavers hearing experts, who are helping the community rediscover the joy of ordinary sounds. Peter in Ballybuffet writes to say he smiles every time he listens to the sound of his kettle boiling for his morning cup of tea. And in other great news, Catherine in Milford has rediscovered the sound of popcorn popping just in time to watch her favourite films. Whatever sounds you've lost, Specsavers hearing experts could help find them again. Book a free hearing test today at your local Specsavers.
Sometimes what you want and what you can get are two very different things. But not this time. The MG electric range is here and available to drive away today. With up to €2,500 off our fully electric range, go MG in 23. Test drive at Connolly's MG, Collooney, Sligo, and recharge your soul. Offer available until October 14th. Terms and conditions apply. See mg.ie for details.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Business Matters in association with ATU Donegal Faculty of Business. Now is the time to realise your potential by enrolling on the part-time degree in business. Only 3 years with 1 evening per week on campus and another online. Open up your future by contacting the faculty office on 9186206 or visit lyit.ie today.
Okay, it's Wednesday. That means there's another edition of Highland Radio's Business Matters podcast available for you right now on our website and elsewhere. We'll tell you more of that anon, but we have its producer, presenter in studio with us, Kieran O'Donnell. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, before we get to the pod, let's catch up on some business news out there and an award for Nancy's Bar.
Yeah, Nancy's Bar in Ardra was the North East region winner in the Best Tourist Pub competition that was sponsored by Fáilte Ireland. There were 7 regional award winners in total in the competition that celebrates pubs that go above and beyond to create memorable experiences for locals and international visitors. So well done to them.
If that's the North East winner, I'd love to see the North West winner.
I think that was looking after the top half or the top corner where we are. I think the next one was down, I think maybe in Sligo or on down that way.
Good stuff. Female CEOs are increasing in representation.
Yeah, the share of female CEOs in Ireland has risen to 19%. That's an increase of 5% in less than 2 years. Those figures are contained in the latest Gender Balance in Business survey published by the Central Statistics Office. So the survey showed a continuing decline in the proportion of females in chief financial officer roles. The proportion of female financial officers in 2023 was 25.7%. That's down from 28.1% in 2021 and 29.7% in 2019. So a notable decrease there in just 2 years.
Yeah, indeed. Interesting, this next topic, and I'm not sure what I'm going to say is necessarily connected, but I was speaking to someone there during the summer, before the summer, who was on one of the first delegations that went out to China. I don't know, it was decades ago. And at that point, there was no real links there as such. And it's the kind of a thing that happens that, you know, what comes from it is hard to sort of quantify. But since then, since those pathways were opened, obviously now we're massive exporters to China, and it's worth multiples of millions, if not billions, to the Irish economy. And my point being is that it wasn't there before, and then from little seeds, big acorns grow. So I say it's not necessarily the exact same thing, but there is a conference taking place about that market.
Yeah, I will say, Greg, you're not too far off the mark. The Radisson Hotel in Letterkenny will be the venue for the Growing Business with Asia from the Northwest Region Knowledge Hub Conference, and that's taking place on Monday, October the 2nd, and Tuesday, October the 3rd. The event is being held in partnership with ATU and Udrus na Gaeltachta and will be supported by Donegal County Council and the Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce. So people can attend in person, Greg, or online, and the conference is aimed at boosting trade links, which you referred to earlier, between the Northwest and Asia, which is being widely regarded now as the world's wealthiest region.
Rightio. There was a quite a rush and an improvement in terms of Irish businesses, their online presence in the last few years for obvious reasons, but still work to be done by the sounds of things.
Yeah, I was surprised at this story, Greg. Irish small and medium enterprises are falling behind with e-commerce and must evolve to meet consumer demands, and that is according to a new web health report published by AE. That's the National Registry for .ie domain names. The report included 525 companies, and it found that less than half, 46% of retailers, have cart functionality on their website, and that's basically enabling them to sell online. So retail industry trade body Retail Excellence Ireland understandably has called for additional government supports to help retail SMEs to develop their online presence. So as you say, while there was a major shift, Greg, to online, there's a bit of a lag in terms of keeping up with the demand, and obviously
I think a lot of businesses use their website or the social media, and I do find it frustrating at times to drive traffic to in-person shopping. I presume if you have the cart, then it's another layer of activity. You have to have someone who deals with postage and stock. And
I remember being on a digital marketing course, Greg, must be 7 or 8 years ago, and we're talking about the different steps. There could be 6 or 7 clicks before you actually get to the purchase point. And I suppose maybe is there work there in terms of maybe shortening that journey, reducing the number of clicks? But ultimately, when it comes to a business selling online, it's all about putting goods in the cart and getting paid for them.
Exactly. And I mean, you look at Amazon, is anyone doing it better than them? You look at
That's the model.
You hit buy now, boom, it's effectively in the post, and that's the area people are competing in, and lots of people would love to do more online shopping if the products and the services were there. PGIM have new offices.
Yeah, PGIM after 23 years in Ireland.
I'm
Ireland.
still going to call them PGIM. PGIM.
Sorry. PGIM Ireland opened its new state-of-the-art offices earlier this month in Letterkenny, formerly known as Primerica. PGIM's Letterkenny building was officially opened by its Chief Operations and Innovation Officer, Robin Duncan.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to get us to call Ireland West Airport, Knock Airport, Ireland West. It's Knock.
You're not for budging. You're not for turning.
I'm just no fat. PGIM, no problem. Right, shall we go on to what's coming up on this week's show?
Yes, Greg. On this week's programme, I'll be speaking to Sean McVeigh from Precision Sports Technology, retired US-based businessman John T. Fries, and CEO with Accountant Online, Larissa Finney. So, Greg, the pavilion at Rathmullen House was the venue for Friday's Disrupt by the Sea Shark Tank event, which saw 6 company founders pitch to a panel of US investors for a cash investment of $100,000. Letterkenny man Sean McVeigh, who is Chief Commercial Officer and Lead Sports Scientist with Precision, got the nod from the 3 American investors, and he also got the nod as well from the audience at the event. In this clip, Sean talks about the size of the American market and the potential for the demand for his company's product there.
The size of the market in America is absolutely huge, and it's definitely where we want to get the company to. And I suppose we've been preparing for that for quite a while now, in the sense of trying to understand each of the major sports over there, because the sporting landscape is very different to what it is here in Ireland and even in Europe, in terms of just American football and baseball and basketball being the three biggest sports. So understanding, I suppose, the needs of the coaches and athletes in those sectors, and then as well at university and high school level, understanding the needs of those, because you've got a range of different sports within those organisations as well. So it's really important. We really wanted to understand how it can fit into those settings, while also looking to kind of partner with, I suppose, flagship organisations or clubs over there to help kind of validate us in the marketplace as well.
Yeah, he sounds confident and assured, Kieran.
Yeah, they've developed a computer vision software, Greg, and it's to give real-time feedback on exercise techniques as it will improve performance, reduce injury, and increase participation. So there's the cost saving is one thing. How quick it can actually assess and scan teams, for example, is the other thing. The likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, the Cleveland Cavaliers are among 50 teams that have already signed up as trial partners for this sort of technology. Okay. So it's a major step.
And that's the time to get in if there's any opportunities.
And, the whole thing, Greg, it's a ready-to-go product, and the US market, and obviously the US market was where they were pitching to. Yep. So he delivers
one of those
very well.
US investors, John T. Fries or Fries.
Yeah, John T. Fries. Yeah, John was one of the 3 investors, Greg, as I mentioned, and he backed Sean's plans to scale up precision sports technology on Friday afternoon. And during our conversation, I asked John how he found the experience along the shores of Lochswilly.
Yeah, very interesting. It wasn't exactly cold, so we asked for their deck, which is a summary of their capabilities, and it was very interesting. We had some preconceived ideas of who we thought were the winner, and of course, as it played out, some or a lot of them were better than we thought. Okay. And there was 2 farm products. One was a farm product, which is a weighing of the cows and et cetera, which, as I begged off on that because I grew up in the city, and so did Mark, the other judge. But Mike, fortunately, he had a lot of great questions. But we learned a lot from that presentation, and as I said, the pitch was a lot better than what the deck was, okay? And we saw a lot of upside. We saw a lot of upside on a lot of the companies. We had a tough choice.
Yeah, great experience for all those taking part in it. I mean, it's called Shark Tank in America, Australia, Canada. People more familiar with the process under the moniker of Dragon's Den here. Right, okay, interesting stuff. And as I say, great platform and great experience. You also spoke to another person, Larissa?
Yeah, CEO of Accounting Online, Larissa Finney. She is lead entrepreneur on the Acorns 9 programme, Greg, and that begins in October. And here she explains how that programme will be rolled out.
So it's a structured 6-month programme. It's 1 day a month, not even a day, like a half a day a month. So 1 session a month. And every month we go through a different topic. So essentially there are groups of female entrepreneurs who are led by a lead entrepreneur. And there's usually about 7 or 8 on every table. And every month we go through a different area of business, such as, sales and marketing, for example, finance, operations, strategy. And we take the entrepreneurs through the program, through a journey, going through the main pillars of business and helping them understand what's important. And crucially, every business around the table is in a different industry, so there's no competitor issues. But everybody helps each other. So everybody's at the same stage. Usually businesses have either just started or maybe even in the idea stage. So everybody's very early in their journey and they can really bring their strengths to help others on the table as well.
Great stuff. Sounds like you enjoyed it too, Kieran.
Yeah, it was a good experience down in Rathmullen. Larissa is a sort of an annual thing, catching up with herself. Just going back to John T. Fries, he is a first generation Irish American. His father was born in 1900 in Kilmacrennan, and he emigrated in 1923 with his 2 sisters. And he described himself as having 3 different careers. Healthcare was the middle career. He's sort of half retired now, still working. But computers was the business he got into. And one of the questions I asked him during the interview was, I always ask, what's the best lesson you've learned in business? And he said, look, that's a good question, but he said, realise your expectations, realise your limitations. He spent 25 or 26 years in computers. He said he couldn't program a computer, and he couldn't fix a computer, but he could sell computers. He got awards for selling, so he said, look, stick to what you're good at.
Elon Musk can't build electric cars or rocket ships himself, but he knows how to get it done. The full interviews with Sean McVeigh, John T. Fries and Larissa Feeney are available now to download on our website, highlandradio.com. We'll stream from there. It's also on Spotify or iTunes, and it's on air live as well too, Kieran.
Yeah, on Sunday evening, Greg, after the 6 o'clock news.
And if anyone wants to get in touch with you about the show...
Yes, just drop me an email, please, businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Okay, Kieran O'Donnell there. That is Business Matters, as I say, available for you right now. Thanks, Kieran. Back with Kieran next Wednesday. Back with more after this break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Let's talk about lamb. Quality assured lamb. There's so many ways to enjoy its natural flavour. Like tender lamb pieces for a midweek teriyaki stir fry. Or succulent lamb chops, delicious with minty couscous. And for the weekend, leg of lamb with rosemary that the whole family will enjoy. For great meal ideas, visit boardbia.ie/recipes and always choose lamb with the Boardbia quality mark so you know it's produced to Boardbia's highest standards, verified at every stage.
Hi, I'm at the Garda station, but it's nothing. I told this girl I was seeing for a while that I'd put shots of her up online. Shots she sent me, so they're mine, really. I only said I'd do it, but the guards are saying that's a crime now. It's not my fault, Mum. I didn't do anything. I only said I would.
Threatening to share intimate images is a crime with serious consequences. Contact your local Garda station if you need to report it. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Join me, Marty Friel, every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7, where you can enjoy dinner and drinks in the Woodbury Grill Bar and Restaurant before bowling in Arena 7's state-of-the-art lanes. See arena7.ie.
Betty Morgan talks about her son.
Eamon was one of life's givers. When he had a sudden brain hemorrhage and sadly died, his organ donation helped 2 people transform their lives. It's consoled us so often. Eamon was a giver in life, and to now he's a giver of life.
Organ donors save lives. Make today the day you decide to be an organ donor and let your family know your wishes. For more, visit hse.ie/organ donation from the HSE.
Starting to think about what's next? Then don't miss Ulster University's Open Days this September. Come along to our Derry Londonderry, Coleraine and Belfast campuses to learn about our courses and discover where a degree from Ulster could take you. Discover why Ulster University is ranked number 1 in the UK for job prospects by Student Crowd. Register now at ulster.ac.uk/opendays.
Okay, time to welcome into studio our last guest of today. Unless it goes really bad and it's really short and then I have to grab someone to bring them on instead of Anya Kelly. Good morning, Anya. How are you getting on?
Not too bad, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. Anya's technical assistant at the Digital Creative Lab in Correndonagh. And there's a workshop upcoming. Talk to us about it, the topic.
So we're having an event now this Saturday called Meet and Code, Gaming for All. So we're basically going to tackle some of the issues that are in gaming, basically like sexism, violence, racism, and we just want to make it that gaming can be inclusive for all.
So just really get rid of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, well, I suppose, but the way we want to do it is that we're not lecturing kids on you shouldn't be playing this game, you shouldn't be playing that game. We want to make it educational, we want to make them aware, because some kids, some parents aren't aware of what these games can do and how they can affect these kids. So,
is there a particular problem with, I mean, violence certainly, but, you know, racism, anti-women, like, is there evidence to suggest that there is a lot of that in a lot of the games that are currently out there?
Well, there definitely is evidence, and the fact that like half of the gaming public is women, and only 1 in 5 game developers are women. So it's a case of, yes, they're playing them, but they're not making the games. So the thought is that maybe they have different perspectives on games, that maybe it doesn't have to all be violent, all be racism, all be sexism, but they're thinking, why should I go out and make a game that isn't like that, because it might not be popular. So, but then you look at the likes of Little Big Planet, Minecraft, Roblox, that's creative, that's teamwork, they're creating, they're not destroying, which that's what our event wants to do. So we have taken the expert support from a dairy-based company called Kippy. They're going to come in and basically educate us as well as the attendees, because we're not experts at it either, but we're open to learn. We want to be able to deliver workshops that are inclusive, that give out the right information. So they're going to give us expert support. We're going to have brainstorming. We're going to have tackle some of the issues, to have a brainstorm of like how could we change it? How do we think we could change our thoughts on gaming? But then also the other side of the workshop and the event is that the kids and attendees are going to get the chance to make their own game. So we're going to use an app called G-Develop. We're going to teach them how to make these games, but also let them tackle issues that we spoke about and bring that into the game. Make it inclusive so that it's welcoming for all backgrounds, all genders, everything like that. We want to show them. Again, we don't want to lecture them. We're not going to tell them you can't play this game, don't play that game. They're not going to listen to us.
Yeah, and of course too, I mean, everyone's different and the space is different. There's going to be a lot of the women that are playing games want to play in that environment. They do want to play Battlefield or Call of Duty or whatever it might be. But then there's all those that want to game but feel that they have to play in that environment because that's really, particularly in terms of multiplayer and what have you, that's an awful lot of what's out there outside of the sports game. So I suppose this will be an interesting straw poll of young people, obviously, to sort of find out what they want. I'd be really interested in sort of what the girls say. I don't think they necessarily want girly games per se. I think we're past that now at this point. Do you know what I mean? Sort of putting people into sort of gender stereotypes. But it'd be interesting to find out what would they love to see in that space. Because, as you say, 4 out of 5 developers are fellas, so we can't presume they're meeting that audience's wants.
Yeah, well, that's what we want to open the floor to listen to the 12, like our events aimed at 12 to 16 year olds. We want to hear from them. What do they want? What do they want to see? But they might see issues that we don't see. We just see the stereotypical of people are calling people names, people are leaving people out. They might see more than us, and they could teach us a thing or two, as well as us learning from the likes of Kippy coming in and giving us expert support. We want to hear from the teenagers that are coming into us as well.
Yeah.
But we just thought it'd be interesting and just to see, because we'd like to put on more and more events, because like us, we are based in Carndonagh in the Digital Creative Lab. We put on different events throughout the year. Our aim is to deliver digital skills to the communities. We are a rural area, and we have to say thanks to our corporate sponsors, the Inishon Co-op, for letting us do this. We deliver workshops to primary school to secondary kids. We have in-house workshops, outside workshops, and our aim is to deliver these digital skills, and part of that is in this world gaming. We don't know everything about it. Kids don't know everything about it, parents don't know everything about it. So with a workshop like this now on Saturday, it's going to open our eyes and hopefully the kids' eyes to go away with seeing some issues that are out there, but maybe how to tackle these issues. Maybe they didn't know how to before. For
sure. And listen, I mean, you might have engaged with some of these 12 to 16 year olds already, but for others, you know, especially sort of being able to look at the back end of a game and game development, who's to say what it might lead to in terms of their aims and goals for their career? Because it's a very lucrative, it's worth more than the film industry now, the gaming industry.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Which is astonishing, really.
But like everyone always, I know somewhere where I'm chatting about the violence, racism. There is positives to gaming. Do you know, I'm not just saying gaming's negative. There is negatives and positives. A positive is the social side. It's not like me and you going for a cup of coffee outside. It's them meeting up with their friends. They're socialising. They're playing. They're doing a common goal. Like say the likes of Minecraft and Roblox. They're, like I said, they're creating. They're not destroying. They have to work as a team. They're learning them skills. They're learning to communicate. They're learning to build. They're learning to express themselves. They're not being limited to, you have to destroy this to win. It's a case of, let's go together. How do you think we should build this?
And people might go, oh, here we go, all woke again about embracing diversity and this, that and that, right? But I don't see it like that. Or maybe I'm missing the point. Like a lot of what happens in games is, it's sort of passive violence, you know, so talk of the GTA, you know, you can go and beat people up, all right? Or, you know, you're shooting, you might not make the exact connection between firing a gun, but passively it's aggressive. It is, and in terms of inclusivity, it doesn't necessarily mean that you make a game where everybody's different and represents all of the hot topics that are around at the moment. It's just that it's passively a space whereby you're still having fun, there's still a competitive nature to it, or whatever the children decide themselves, but it just is passively more inclusive and more reflective.
Yeah, well, the way we see it is like an inclusive game is a game that actually welcomes all players. It doesn't matter their background, their gender. It's
not there to push a narrative or to indoctrinate. It's there just to say let's have more games that are that have more nuances to them.
Yeah, and from that, like, we want to like show them the issues and, like, you know, maybe help address these issues. But we also want to make it fun that people have interest in games. But they that's why we want to be able to let them create games as well. So that's why we've done it in 2 parts. That yes, we're talking about issues and talking about how we could change these things, but we also want to let them have a bit of fun. So that's why we've created the second half of the event to let them create games, show them a platform how you can create a game from the ground up. They'll be designing, creating an environment, characters, you know, themes, and we hope that they bring the issues that maybe we've addressed into that, and to maybe show us like how things could be done a bit different, and they could be the ones that are making games in 10, 15 years. You know?
For sure, and why not? So it is in the Digital Creative Lab in Carndonagh. It's this Saturday from 11:30am to 4pm. Anya, who I'm speaking to here, is the technical assistant at the lab and has been pointing out that this is free and it's aimed at 12 to 16 year olds. So how do people sort of register or turn up, or what's the story there, Anya?
So we have our website. We're connected with Spreoga Sport. So if you go on our website, spreogasport.ie, you'll see our booking system on there. And as I said, it's all free. So you register your child on there, you can create an account, and that is it then. You come on Saturday. So, and then when you're on our website too, you'll be able to see all the stuff that we do all throughout the year. We have summer camps, holiday camps, after school clubs. We're also nominated, shortlisted for Excellence in Leadership in a charity award, so you can also vote for us on that if you just want to have a wee look at that. But it's a good way to stay connected with our community. We are a rural community, but we're a charity based in Carndonagh, so we want to try help our community as best we can, so it's good to stay connected. So we're also on social medias at Spray Agus Sport, so at least we have everything updated on there, so that we're doing throughout the year.
And just for those who might not be aware, and most will, Spray Agus Sport is SPRAOI, Agus obviously, and then Sport. So the Spree part of it is SPRAOI. Great stuff, Anya. It's exciting, and I think it's lovely for the young people as well to sort of see, to get an idea of how the games that they love and the games that they play are actually created.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's just released and they start playing it, but they get an understanding of game engines and all that.
Well, that's what's important to us in the Digital Creative Lab, is that's what our aim is, to deliver these digital skills, where it be game development, digital fabrication with designing, cups, keyrings, or showing kids about STEM, STEAM, electronic circuits. That's our aim at the moment. We're delivering workshops out to primary schools, secondary schools. We bring the equipment out to them. We deliver 6-week workshops on these different topics. STEM and STEAM is on the school curriculum at the moment, so that's why we're happy to go out and provide these with equipment that we have as well. So just providing these digital skills, it helps the rural areas that don't have the resources, don't have the education on it.
Why shouldn't we? Just because we live, and use it, fill in that gap.
Yeah, so it's great, and we have to thank the schools and the community for taking us on for that, because they're the ones that support us, they're the ones that are getting the word out there. So again, we're new school year, we're out in new schools, past schools we've been to before, but we're open to new workshops, open to new schools, and we have in-house workshops and outside workshops.
Well done. And all that information in terms of booking for this Saturday and all the other work that Spray Agus Sport does is available on their website, Spray Agus Sport. Okay, Anya, thank you very much indeed. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. Anya Kelly, Technical Assistant at the Digital Creative Lab in Carndonagh, and that's where we